Oh my god. Oh my.
Are you living? Are you living?
I think I'm dying.
Oh no!
Okay.
We're in Twisty Voice Channel. One second. This card is being slow today. Like, it won't load my things. Okay, there it is.
A new pair of headphones.
Oh, I have a pair of headphones. Okay, I'm streaming it now. Can you see it? Oh, and by the way, I have the costumes on. I hope that doesn't pray for give to this courtesy of having Sherlock's titties out.
Okay, I'm going to say that I won't break my screen.
Oh.
But let's do it.
Okay. I hope Mari jumps in earlier. It would be so much fun if all of us just play. Hey, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go! And also lower myself. And I think I'll lower the game too. Just in case the game's too loud, they can't hear you. Because Discord like outputs audio on OBS really weirdly. Episode 2. The Memoirs of the Clouded Kokoro. Oh wait, shit. Audio. There's an anime.
姿なき犯人による冬の夜の惨劇。
Are you gonna
背
hear
中を
that?
刺され倒れた裏若きレディが生死をさまよううちに
I'm going
事
there.
件は解決した。窮地に陥った東洋人の留学生が我が友人によって救い出されたその晩、ガス灯の刻むほの暗い影の中、再び奇怪な事件が闇を切り裂いた。
Gaslight? Like
当時
Mari.
の新聞の戦場的な見出しを記憶している者も多いだろう。悪霊に見入られた死の邸宅、死刑囚の呪い、ガス魔人の恐怖。
Are you talking about Nazis? I'm kidding.
現場に駆けつけた名探偵は
Vampire. This one is like
その真
Jack
相
the
を看
Ripper.
破するのだ。
Oh my god, Van Ziggs is Jack the Ripper. No, I'm kidding.
それは悲劇の舞台の幕開けを告げるプレリュードに過ぎなかったのである。
It's Shakespeare.
No, he doesn't exist, remember? Okay, let me lower the audio again here.
That's right. He's a fictional character.
Oi!
Is Mari here? Mari!
Yeah.
Stop!
Hello.
Let me, you're already max. I can't, increase Mari further. I'll increase you a little bit. Malleus is...
I just
Alpha
imagine
Bar.
like a small chick.
a small
chicken.
Shakespeare. God,
A small hatchling.
Okay, let's get on with the game. We've clowned on Shakespeare enough. I'm gonna actually fucking die if that is actually Shakespeare.
Lord almighty.
My name is Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a fledgling lawyer just starting out in my journey. 6 months ago, I arrived as a visiting student of law, having made the long voyage across the sea from the Empire of Japan to here, London, England. I hate it here. And on the way, in extraordinary circumstances, I made the acquaintance of a world-famous detective. That's his room! Currently, I reside in the attic of the detective's own lodgings, from where I run my legal consultancy of sorts. I've successfully defended a number of clients in Britain's highest court, the Old Bailey. But since a particularly grueling and unforgettable legal battle 4 months ago now, I haven't returned to the courtroom. In truth, I lost my right to return. Oh, did he not? Oh
Why
my
did you do?
Alright, that's another spoiler from Case
This
5.
is the part where I don't know what.
Yeah, he basically exposed government secrets to the public. Bet you'll never know how that happened. But the
No, I can't imagine him doing that accidentally.
Yeah, it's actually believable. But that epic trial was just one small part of an epic tale. A tale which was now about to awaken from slumber. Thanks to a letter that arrived this morning from my homeland. Ah, Susatos! Oh dear. That wasn't me.
That knows.
What a delicious smell wafting up the stairs. It must be nearly time for breakfast. I'd better go down to Mr. Shom's suites. Oh no, you're gonna meet him now. You're gonna meet him now, Anna. And say good morning to the great detective and his flatmate.
Wait, Emma hasn't met Sherlock?
Yeah.
I almost said Shakespeare.
She's she's met Shakespeare. No, I'm kidding. I think you met Shakespeare. Oh fucking god, you met Sherlock. Yeah, because of Case 2.
I didn't meet
Case
Sherlock.
3.
It was the worst meeting of my life. I did meet him.
Oh, you haven't met her.
Oh!
Oh, baby!
She's a baby! Morning! Reno, good! Ow, ow, ow. I was just about to call up to you. The bacon's ready. Bacon! Good morning, Iris. It smells delicious as usual. Before we eat, though, I have some news. I have a surprise.
Oh.
Alright, yeah, sorry, I have the costumes on. I look, his titties are out, okay?
This is cultural appropriation, right there.
It's because of the mess. It looks like a weirdly shaped boob window. I can't tell. It's a upside down triangle, but there's an. I'm over analyzing the boob window. Never mind.
It's okay. He'll have the mask on properly when we leave the house. Shh. Naro, Mr. Naruhodo. This could just be the abstruse thing of my pre-breakfast stagnation, repelling mental stimulations, my dear fellow. I don't know what the fuck he just said. I have no idea what the fuck he just said. Did any of you catch that?
No.
Oh.
Morning to you too, Mr. Schultz. Ah, yes. Oh my god. Oh my god! I am being jump scared by a white man. I see. So that's it. Off now, off. The truth is clear to me as day. My faculties of observation have revealed it again. I don't know what accent this is. What are you talking about? You, Mr. Naruto, you have, this very morning, met with a surprise. Well, is that not the case? Really, my dear fellow, it barely warrants explanation. Firstly, your hair is particularly... No, it's just like that every day. Particularly...
It's a haircut gone wrong.
Someone reminiscent of a bird's nest. No, that's Kazuma's hair.
That's true.
Secondly, you have neglected to fasten the third button of your jacket. No, that's just how he usually is. He's a sloppy little bitch. Clearly, when considered together, these two facts point to you having been flustered this morning. No, it was because of the bacon. Can I talk now? He's so sassy with Sherlock. But of course, though I don't look for admiration, you understand. My See, we told you. My hair is always like this. It's been this way ever since I first met you. His hair doesn't grow. What the fuck? It has. And the button was ripped off last night, if you remember. What were you guys doing to have a button ripped off off of his
Ripped
jacket.
off. Oh.
But, but you?
Y'all, contain your thoughts. Contain your
Hurley pulled your button. Oh no!
Take a
not
deep
in front of
breath.
the child.
Take a deep breath.
Not in front of the child, Hurley.
I love how Iris's hair is like heart. It looks
Yeah.
heart shaped. It's really cute.
Yeah. And because there's also covered in one of the escapades, they were talking about if Iris had a Japanese name, it would be Aihime, meaning the princess of love, right?
Oh,
Yeah, it's so cute. I love
it's
her.
really cute. Oh, what?
Oh shit, I didn't read that. Sorry, I was messing with shut up, fuck! Oh, it was just thoughts. I was messing with something in OBS. Sorry, I have a burp. Sorry. Ah, yes, I recall the incident now. It was after supper, was it not? As the evening advanced, I picked up my violin and began to play the wailing notes of a haunting tune. I used to like that. But then, to my utter dismay, the third string snapped! Why did it have to happen? Why? Little wonder then, that, in my vexation, I grabbed the first button I saw and ripped it from its proper place. Why?
You still haven't answered the why.
Yeah! Well, I'd like it back now, please. It's troubling me that I can't fasten my jacket. Ah, and it's troubling me that you expect me to know where it is. Some whereabouts on the floor, one presumes. Jesus. Helpful. He's so sassy.
Let's see what Sherlock.
What matters at the present time, my dear fellow, is simply whether or not my deduction was unerring, whatever that means. But Hurley, Reno said it when he came in, didn't he? I had a surprise this morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that really is a surprise. You're a fucking idiot. I hate you. Okay.
He's
Yes.
a smart idiot.
This man is the pride of the British Empire. Oh god, no wonder. They have very little thing to take pride in, apparently. The famous consultant detective, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. I like to imagine he's really saying this out loud, and Sherlock is posing accordingly.
It's like posing. You're right.
There can't be a single person in this world who doesn't know his name. And this is a baby! Alright then, enough of this silly conversation. Come on and eat this bacon before it goes cold.
So we're just
And
leaving
I
the
have a new
princess waiting.
I mean, yeah, to be honest, if it's Sherlock. And I have a new herbal tea for you to try, too. My latest special blend. And here we have Iris Wilson, Mr. Sholmes' lodger and companion. A truly exceptional young girl, who's the author of a highly successful serialization here in London receiving rave reviews. Yes, The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, as published in Rand's magazine.
It's making this child do unpaid labor, right?
No, she's getting paid. She's getting all the royalties, my bro. Sorry, I just had to take a bit of water before our voice shows again. So, Mr. Naruhodo, won't you put us out of our misery? God damn it! All that cocaine last night it wasn't cocaine. It was opium. All that opium last night has got me a little tongue-tied. Apologies. What surprise you have this far morning? Ah, well, I received a letter from Japan. Wait, is it actually on us? Nope. By the way, what do you call it? Amma, have you seen this?
Yeah.
Oh, you've seen it. Have you seen like the dialogue for it? Oh yeah! I've never examined it without Sasato. Ooh! Is this Japanese kanji script embroidered here? That's right. The name of the armband's owner. Ah! So, this is how you write Naruhodo, is it? Actually, no. It's my best friend's name, not mine. It's
I'm trying to
pronounced
figure out the
Kazuma Asugi.
kanji of Asugi, and I can't do it. I'm failing. Wait.
Gambare, gambare. I actually believe this armband is some way embodies his spirit. You see, what about Karuma?
That's his soul.
What's the difference between spirit and soul?
There is a distinct difference between them.
Mario, is it alright if you like move your mic a little closer? You're kinda low.
Oh, let me see.
I don't know. Spirit is usually evil, and like the soul is. I think it's the difference is that the soul, it's a soul if it's inside the person's body, but if it gets out, then it becomes a spirit. So they're technically the same thing, but they're two different stages.
Okay,
I just made that up, by the way.
Yeah, I was gonna say this armband wasn't inside his body. I was just gonna say.
It was part of it.
Well, so was Karuma, remember? That's what he said. That's why he didn't want to go to Britain without his sword. So, you have to write all those lines just for one person's name. Kanji is funny, isn't it? I know, right? That's right. Never mind my feelings about my best friend. It's lines I really want to talk about. That is a 10-year-old child, Ryunosuke. What does she care about your gay love interest?
He's sad.
It's literally, who wants to talk about feelings? Me. I know Naruhodo. I'm sad. I know Naruhodo. Well, I received a letter from Japan. Oh, from Susie, you mean? Was it really? That's right. And she had some rather startling news, in fact. Wait, so I thought this was gonna be a flashback. Ah, intriguing indeed. Why did your voice get several octaves lower? You must tell us all about it over breakfast. Ah, sorry, I got distracted over his collarbones. Oh, yes, what fun! Oh shit, I wonder if everything in the background is different now. Oh no, can we talk about this?
Oh dear.
When it gets to this time of the year, oh my god, it really is. Londoners seems to leave this heart aligned all day long, and I love it. There's something very relaxing about watching the flames split and dance about. Oh no, it's Sherlock this time! We're not talking about the lady in the portrait. Alright, Amma, now that you're here, you've read some of Sherlock Holmes, right? Or you know about it?
Actually, the most notable character in Sherlock Holmes is named Iris. So,
Really?
yeah, she's actually. I mean, Sherlock in the actual novel is like this really mysterious person who's like
Yeah.
above the regular, activities. Like he doesn't do relationships. He's too cool for that.
Oh, I thought because he was
Um,
claiming homosexual.
Personally, my personal belief is that was the case. That is what being too cool for that is
No, he's
code for.
no because he's like that's what
Yeah.
the government wants you to believe.
So, but Iris is like she's this noble woman, and she is very mysterious in her own right, and she's the only woman who is like of notable importance to Sherlock.
Wait, are
So,
you sure it's Iris and not
Um,
Irene?
I believe it's Iris. Let me check that.
Are you gonna Shakespeare me too? Are you gonna gaslight me as well?
You have to stop that.
Oh, yeah, Mari, you're really low. It's kind of hard to hear you sometimes.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
It is Irene.
See?
Iris
You guys are
is,
fucking you both of you. Why are you like this to me?
No,
I
because
know Irene Adler because she was
Iris
in Moriarty.
is,
That's what I know. God damn, all of my friends are gaslighting me.
oh, I was in, I think I was, Iris is a character in another one of Conan Doyle's tales.
Ah.
He has a character named Iris and a character named Irene and a character named Aileen. Like he doesn't know how to come up with female character names, I think. So it's just in the same order of Irene, Aileen.
I was gonna say, yeah, this is how white people name shit. But yeah, and can you confirm to me, does Sherlock actually have a picture of Irene Adler on his mantelpiece? Was that a thing that actually happened? Because I remember Irene being important to him. Or like, not important, but significant. And did he have like a picture of her or something?
She was because she was actually a opera singer. Yeah, she was an opera singer or an actress, something like that. He actually apparently was like a fan of her art and stuff, but then she was a suspect in one of his cases, but eventually it was revealed that she was actually innocent, but she remains this character that is like very morally ambiguous, and Sherlock eventually he literally starts referring to her as the woman. The woman, there is nothing else. That's just the woman, and that's like a sign of his respect for her.
Much like
He's
how you.
trying to be
That's the
respectful.
point of respect? I was gonna say,
Yeah.
it's like saying the incident.
Yeah, exactly. So he's actually referring to her as the woman because he never managed to outsmart her. She always remains like one step ahead of him. And you never really know whether she actually did any crimes or not.
Makes sense.
So,
Yeah, okay. Because, sad. I wonder if you're gonna bring up the picture here. Because I showed it to Mari, and she basically predicted it. But there's
I'm just checking.
Okay, but there's like
I'm just checking. Keep going, keep going.
Yeah, but because
Sorry.
there's a picture of a woman on top of the mantelpiece, and at first, Ria Noska and Susata didn't know about it, but then Iris pops up and says, "Oh, that's Hurley. Yeah, he's getting into disguises recently." And Ria Noska is like, "He is stunning." Right? No, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I'm not making it up. It's not verbatim, but those are the words.
And he's not just
Like, Ryu, honey, calm down. He's just a basic white man. You can go to Spain and to Italy. At least you'll find less basic white men.
But no, it was cross-dressing, so you know how dresses and makeup can make someone look a little.
No,
bit
I was
more-
just I was checking. I went to check just to make sure that my information was accurate, and apparently Doyle literally says that Sherlock Holmes has no romantic interest in either Irene or any woman. I was like, huh.
But they didn't specify men. Okay, but we got really sidetracked. Okay, back to the game. Holy shit! It's gonna be another 8-hour stream of just fucking around. Oh wait. But a fireplace in days of summertime is always a waste of space. Really, no use at all. Rather like a great detective in days of no crimes and no criminals. Pearly, whoa! Iris, destroy him!
She came for his life.
Fucking destroyed his ass. But consider this: instead of a fireplace, a frost place. That's my latest idea. So a refrigerator. An extraordinary hearth from which emanates a cool breeze in the hot summer month. What do you think? I think if you invented such a thing,
Summer?
your name would go down in history. Yeah, I was wondering, what are London summers like? They're just as like radioized. The principle extremely simple. One was, of course, light a cold fire in the hearth. What happened to Discord? Uh-oh, the Discord crash. Guys, I am all alone. Hello? I'm all on my lonesome. Hello?
I don't know how technology works, so this is one thing you can definitely gaslight me about.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, my Discord
I'm saying I don't-
crashed.
Link?
My Discord crashed.
Oh my.
My Discord said no more gaslighting. You guys are gaslighting it too much.
Stop.
Mari, baby, please
restart.
speak up. Please speak up, baby. I can barely hear you.
It's 2 a.m. I cannot.
Wait, let me fix my audio levels.
No, let me restart Discord.
He have a jester's shoe in front of his mirror. I just noticed that.
A what?
Shoe in front of his mirror.
In front of his. Yeah! I don't know. Apparently, those are like, what do you call them? Mementos from his cases.
Oh.
Wait. The principle is extremely simple. One must, of course, light a cold fire in the heart. Yes, of course, brilliant! The trouble is, none of the fires I built ever burn cold. How it taunts me! I mean, yeah, sure. Innovators always think of the stupidest things.
Okay.
So, as you British say, it's a bit of a damp squib? What the fuck? Oh no!
Oh, what that means.
Oh no! Ryunosuke is literally being infected by the whites! He's speaking in their slang now!
He's trying.
Okay, the
Can you
chair.
hear me?
Yes, I can hear you better. I also turned up like all of the volume in my computer.
All I had to do was update Discord.
Oh my god.
They were gonna silence me otherwise.
Oh my god, they were silencing the Mari. Also, yeah, I think that's what happened with my Discord as well. It just suddenly died. I think it updated without my consent.
Silencing them.
It's silencing your gaslighting.
Hey.
Yeah. Yes, a huge metal chest with a lace cloth laid on it, being used as a table for tea and coffee. It's very sturdy, that's for sure, and firmly locked shut.
He has a coat though, doesn't he? Or doesn't have a coat?
Oh man. Oh man, I really want. You may. I know you said chest, and all that's playing in my mind is like Van Zeke's chest.
If he was like wearing metal armor, that would be a fair metal chest.
I mean, there are like a lot of buttons, and I think he has like a badge or some shit on him. So maybe.
There are a lot of like decor on his clothes.
Wait a second. This guy is doing some weird shit on my volume levels. That chest contains my
I never-
father's. Huh?
Okay.
Okay. That chest contains my father's detailed reports of Hurley's many cases. Yes, so I've been led to believe, though personally, I've never actually seen inside. And that's the way it will stay! Those papers are a secret between Daddy and me. Oh. If you go opening it uninvited, you might find yourself being bitten. What? Is there a beast inside there or something? Maybe. Okay, what else? Let's look at Iris's room. Did anything change here? Oh, there's a pony! I can type with my eyes shut, you know? Oh, I can believe it. When a deadline's approaching, you sound like a Gatling gun. Oh!
That.
That reminds me of a dream I had the other day. It was a funny one. It woke me actually. And it was typing for a whole hour in a pitch black, but I didn't make a single mistake. I believe it. That's incredible. But then, when it got light, I found out that there wasn't any paper in the machine. Oh.
No.
Now I wonder if I'd actually been typing at all. I think you might just have fallen asleep on the job. Yunosuke, please, you're not one to speak. There are so many different bottles up there on the charming little set of white shelves. Oh! Do be careful, Runo. You mustn't try the contents of any of those bottles, even if you're hungry. I wouldn't do something stupid like that. I'm not a child, you know. Doubt. Well, I wish I could say the same for Hurley. The other day, he polished off a full bottle. He polished off a full bottle of one of my alkaloids. How is he still alive?
Because he's a basic bitch.
Wow.
Basic bitch behavior.
So basic bitch has your immunity to poison?
Because he's basic, it cancels out.
He what? He said he was hungry.
He's crazy.
Why is it like this? I'll be extra careful. So
Sorry.
what's this bad shit?
Nah.
Math. Ah yes, this is where you note down ideas, isn't it, Iris? You write down your ideas in multiplication. This is beyond multiplication. In what do you call this shit? Equations?
Formulas.
What is in the melting pot today? Huh. The blue carbuncle. Do you know that, Amma?
The blue carbuncle. I can't say I do.
Okay.
That's in grammar.
Yeah, it is a gravel. That's what came to my mind.
Oh no, the grind is real. Yes, it's from the case of theft that Hurley solved ages ago. The theft of a precious stone. That could be like any number. A carbuncle is another name for garnet, you see. Especially if it's cut with a rounded top. Oh, really? And this garnet was blue, was it? Oh my god, I'm so proud of you, Yunosuke. You figured that out.
You
Can't believe
created
it.
that.
You used your brain, Sal. I'm so proud of you.
Finally proving he's not stupid.
Well, that's the thing. Oh god, never mind. They're actually red. No blue gardens have ever been discovered. Oh.
Oh.
So, who knows what that stolen gem tooth actually was? That's the
So how
real
did he
mystery of
solve
the
it?
case. It didn't.
Solve
That's
it.
probably-
He's a fraud. He's a fraud.
It literally is. A proper Sherlock Holmes conundrum, huh? Can you tease that? I look forward to finding out what aroma your tea will have, Iris, every single day. Ah, well, I infuse a different concoction of herbs from the garden every time, so it's different. It's never the same twice. Isn't that from the Cat Returns? When they call it a concoction, it sounds more like a science experiment than something for tea time. Oh, yes, that's because different blends can have very different properties. Some calm you down, some make you feel jolly, some give you energy. Today's particular blend is something quite special, so you're really in for a treat. That sounds ominous.
Does she have a concoction for Getting good grades.
I don't know, but I feel like Sherlock might has one. It's called opium.
Oh, I should try that one.
Please,
I should really try that one.
Oh no, please! We're gonna get cancelled. These are different pieces of evidence from cases you've solved, aren't they, Mr. Scholes? Not quite, Mr. Naruto, not quite. These triggers are a selection from cases I've solved with a particular aplomb. They are souvenirs of my success. Memories, Mr. Naruto, memories. Really? So, tell me about the case in which the bust of Napoleon featured. Oh my god, his cane is different too! I forgot. He used to have like a pipe now. Now he has more like of a thing.
Oh yeah, I guess.
It's the Japanese pipe. Every time a male character in anime has like these pipes, they're gay.
It's a euphemism.
Yes, it's an euphemism for gayness.
Memories, it
I
says.
figured it out.
Yes, it's oh my god, it's a gay cane. No, it's not a cane, it's a pipe.
It's a pipe.
Wonderful, Mr. Sholmes, wonderful. Oh, that's it. Okay. What are these pictures? Are you telling me not one of them is like Iris's dad? Wait, I have to look down my freaking keyboard. There's his pipe.
Oh.
Look, there's his pipe. Wait, is Queen
Why
Victoria?
does he have a random skull? It's a Shakespeare reference.
Is it real? Okay. You can't reference something that isn't real. Is that Nikola Tesla in the back? Like the portrait?
Could be.
No, Nikola
Could be
Tesla
also
is a
Abraham Lincoln.
What? Nah, it doesn't have the killer sideburns.
Alright.
Books, paper, scientific implements. These shelves are stuffed to the gunnels. Mrs. Sato wouldn't be able to help herself if she were here. She can't stand a mess. She literally lived there for 2 months. Susie might not be able to stand mess, but she wouldn't dare touch the shelves. Oh, why not? Everything's in an intricate balance. Hurley spends ages on it. It's just a game of Jenga at this point. If you were to touch even one thing, the whole lot would come tumbling down.
Susie's good at making things tumble.
I mean, unfortunately, I don't think she can body slam this shelf.
Don't give her ideas.
I mean, it probably comes to her mind in the 2 months she lived there. Susie noticed it was a very delicate arrangement right from the outset. You make it sound like a meeting of great minds. But the truth is, Mr. Shum just needs to tidy up. Okay, the violin. Ah yes, Mr. Shum's faithful musical companion. Wasn't this violin made by somebody famous? Yes, it's a Stradivarius.
Rich bitch.
No, it didn't. Though, I'm afraid you'd have to save up for 100 years before you can afford one, Bruno. He found it like in a thrift shop, I believe.
So it's a fake.
No, apparently it's real. The owner of the thrift shop just didn't like know its value.
No. So he's a thief then.
I mean, it had a price on it, and he paid for it. So, hi, Dart. No, you're not late. We haven't done anything because we've been clowning on Sherlock. And yeah, these are my 2 friends with me today. We're here to hang. But did you buy for a song? What does that mean? But didn't you buy it for a song, Mr. Scholes? Oh dear, here it is. Here's the lore. Amma. I found it in a
It's
pawnbroker
clearly
among the
said-
forfeited articles. It clearly said Stradivarius on the label. What? An ignorant broker had no idea of its true value, you see. So, I paid a mere 55 shillings for it. Yes, I had something of a turn for shopping. Sherlock Holmes, bargain hunter. But, okay.
No, it is a fake one.
Okay, Amma.
I was right.
But is it really a Stradivarius then? But of course, my dear fellow, it said so on the label! It was on the label, Amma! Oh yeah,
It was on the label.
oh yeah, Dart, I have like the DLC costumes on because Sherlock titties. I think perhaps the ignorant broker had something of a turn for selling. Okay, what else? Is it just this now? Okay. That machine really is imposing, isn't it? But I can never remember its name. Haley calls it the Great Analytoscope. It can analyze anything at all. That doesn't really help me. What does analyzing something even... Ryunosuke, you're a lawyer! You're a lawyer and an English major! It was on the label. Yup!
The label on being a lawyer or an English major doesn't say he has to be smart about it.
But he has to have like the basics of like what it means, right? An extremely astute question, Mr. Naruhodo, because I also am an idiot. Sorry. Well, as I said, my machine here spits out analyzing results of anything with which you care to present it. But how to interpret those results? That's the key, and I confess I have no idea.
He's so tired. He's so tired.
Right? Clearly, I'm going to have to construct a great analytoscope to solve the problem. That might not help.
It looks more like a time machine, to be honest.
I mean, yeah, I feel like I just sell this for parts. And that's all of it. I want to go back to his room. I want to see the Daruma. No, the Daruma still isn't painted in. His precious item.
Oh, it's a Daruma.
Yeah, like you can see how large that is, right? Apparently he smuggled it. But while in that tiny case, he smuggled that Daruma with him.
It's his lucky charm.
Yeah, it is
Does
lucky
he
charm.
carry that? Does he carry it to court? Like he walks in, and then there's Van Zigzag across him with the wine bottle, and he just puts the Dharma doll next to him.
Maybe the word.
I think that would be fair enough.
I mean, maybe the word is lost in translation for you. He's an English major, though. Like, he studied to translate English words into words he can understand. Like at the very least, he knows like the dictionary meaning of it. Yes, the Daruma doll I brought with me from Japan. I always intended to color the other eye in once I'd become a fully fledged lawyer, but it's still winking at me, like it's trying to say, "I can wait. Take as long as you need." Aww.
I feel like that's just.
That was scary. Like I saw it flash, the router flashing red, and I was like, does he have anything to say about this picture? He has something to say about the picture. The photograph of us all together that day. Can you see it? It makes me a little sad looking at it now, which is why I take it to laying it flat. Oh, but Mr. Scholes writes it every time, and I've grown accustomed to it. Oh,
This is so
I hate him.
Game.
Oh. I hope we'll all be together again like this one day soon. Oh. Oh.
We
Okay.
keep making noises.
Yeah, we're making questionable noises. Oh no, Twitch, please don't ban us. Now, at first,
Nothing is real.
yeah. It's not in a mess. Everything is exactly where I want it to be. But whenever Susato-san looked at it, she'd put her hands on her hips and say, "Oh dear." Her way of saying that I should make it look more orderly and make it more orderly and neat mess.
My favorite part of this is that he was judging Holmes earlier for having his stuff in a mess, and then he's like, "Well, no, let me explain this. My room is not a mess. It is in proper order."
It's a proper order, yeah. Also, yeah, he keeps like fucking. It was another gag in I don't know if it was case 5 or case 4, but he keeps trying to compare himself to like Holmes, like what was it? It was with Susato, and it was like, hey, Mr. Sholmes' desk is messier than mine, and Susato is just, Mr. Sholmes' desk is has its own logic behind it. Okay, yours is just a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aw, but this line though, I miss that. Tea! The kettle gently simmering away here on top of the stove as usual. It was kind of Susato-san to send the Japanese tea set, to that Japanese tea. Iris really likes it. But for me, it's the sound of the stove and burbling kettle I like the most on biting winter mornings. Oh, that's it. It's kind of somber. Okay, you can examine the shovel. The office spade. Now that Susato-san is gone, the shovelers aren't represented to correct me. He's so fucking petty.
I love him so much.
Maybe I'll have to do it myself. That's not a spade, that Hoto-san. It's a shovel. He's going insane.
He's literally insane. He's not going insane.
He has voices in his head. He's talking to himself.
He has a little mouse on his shoulder. No, that's the mouse talking to him.
The Dharma is alive and is talking to him.
Oh no, Ryunosuke is going white people crazy.
He couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
The white people disease, he can't handle it. Like for British people themselves, they've always lived in Britain, so they were already insane, like from the start. But Ryu, he just showed up there, so like he can't handle the insanity. It's infecting him very quickly.
Especially since now the Susato-san's gone. Susato-san's tea said that she left here with me. I still think green tea is just too bitter though. Thank goodness for sugar and milk. He's a baby. Mr. Sholmes certainly wasn't expecting the acrid taste at that one time. I've never heard anyone let out a scream like that before, or seen anyone fall down the stairs quite like that either. Holy shit.
How did he fall down?
While drinking tea. It always brings a smile to my lips when I'm feeling a little down. What? Him falling down the stairs? Not gonna lie, me too. So, okay, let's try to make sense of this. Let's imagine they were all, like, around here. They were drinking the tea. I'm assuming Sherlock is around this area. So when he drank the tea, he, like, stepped back and just fell over the railing.
Oh, my favorite part is like Rio saying, yeah, when I'm feeling sad, I think about Holmes potentially getting a fractured spine.
Me too, to be honest.
When I'm sad, I also think about Holmes getting a fractured spine.
Honestly, Ryunosuke is very us when it's regarding Chilms. Okay. For some reason, the table is investigable. It's Susato-san's desk. Aww. I suppose it won't get used now that she's gone back to Japan. It'll just have to wait here patiently for its old friend to return, just like me. Oh, that's it. Oh, that's so sad. Look at the prawns and the anemones gently swaying around in the tank. Regular cleaning, some food, and fresh seawater is all they need. And it seemed like a lot of effort at first, but it was worth it. I'm starting to be able to tell what they're thinking. Oh no, they're making a connection. Ryunosuke is starting to understand the sea anemones. Wait, don't they have like braids? They don't have braids, don't they? Funny that so many people in London had aquariums like this one when they were in vogue. You never expect to find sea anemones in the middle of the capital. I think I'll just have to... You still haven't named them? It's been 9 months! Oh wait, no, not 9 months. 4 months? No, it hasn't been 4 months either.
I think it was 6 months. No, I don't know. 2 months.
No! I don't remember.
Since what?
Since he got the sea anemones and prawns.
Maybe. Oh, since he moved in?
Yeah, right? Because that aquarium was there since the beginning.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I never did see what Susato-san's room looks like. I could go in now, of course, but I don't dare. They say a young maiden's private chamber is a place of bittersweet secrets. I'm sure she took her fanfictions with her, don't worry. Although, from the laughter I used to hear when Iris would visit, I imagine it's mainly sweet. Aww. Ryunosuke is so lonely. His dialogue is so sad.
Insane.
Okay, let's
I feel
fucking
bad
talk
for
to
him.
this. This is the letter that arrived from Japan this morning by international post. Oh, how lovely! Look at Susan's beautiful writing. I wish I could read it. And how is our judicial assistant faring, may I ask? She's very well, thank you. In fact, according to what she's written, she actually appeared as a lawyer at the Japanese Supreme Court and won a case! Ah, really? Oh, isn't she wonderful? I cut above her good self, my dear fellow. I've won cases too, you know. Apparently, Mr. Natsume appeared in the trial as a witness. Natsume. No, I don't recall that name. Of course you do! We helped the man! Twice! You know, in those 2 cases that took place on Briar Road 6 months ago. Oh, so I was right! 6 months! Because they moved in with Sherlock after the first case with Natsume.
Yes.
Ah, the mustached touchy man with the somewhat feline eyes and the mustache. You said mustache twice. He didn't have 2 mustaches early. Yes, who could forget those 2 cases? They made a very deep impression on me. Although, I must confess, the details are a little hazy now. A very deep impression they made on you, clearly. Ryunosuke, please, hold this ass back. Startling news! So, what was this startling news penned by Mr. Sato? Do you remember the case of the haunted lodgings, Mr. Scholes? Ah yes, it's very interesting, you know? I don't feel entirely uncertain that a case of that nature did not occur. He's totally forgotten. Anyway, in her letter, Mrs. Sato asked that we read over her case notes again and investigate further. Though it took place half a year ago, for what purpose? Because of something that Mr. Natsume said to her, apparently. He suggested the real reason why she was called back to Japan so suddenly might have something to do with the case of the haunted lodgings. Oh? Oh god. It's so scary when he faces you forward. On Mr. Natsume's return to Japan, Mr. Sato's father questioned him about the case, she says. And something Mr. Natsume said appeared to trouble Professor Mikotoba, prompting him to send a telegram. Oh, that case? Yes. It was very strange, wasn't it? Oh, the music. Yes. And I had compiled the whole story into a nice, neat manuscript ready for publication, too. And then Hurley was all funny about it, remember? He was very mean. That story must not be published, he said, very mysteriously as well. Really? I said that? Are you sure? Do you perhaps know something about it as well, Mr. Scholes? About why Mrs. Sato was suddenly told 4 months ago that she had to return to Japan? Mr. Sato's repatriation? Why would you use that word? Just say return. It's been 4 months since we laid Susie off at Dover. It was such a shock, wasn't it? The way she suddenly announced that she had to go back to Japan? Indeed it was, due to the telegram she received from her homeland, I believe. That's true. That's right, telling her to return urgently. Yes, because her father had passed away. No! No. It just said that he was suffering from a high fever, the cause of which was unknown. He's not dead. But according to this letter, the news about her father's fever was just a ruse. A ruse? So, Susie's daddy lied to her so that she'd make the voyage back home? Why would he do that? I have to admit, I have absolutely no idea what else is new. But she believes it's almost certainly related to the case of the haunted lodgings. Summoning her back to Japan so suddenly like that, I wonder what Mr. Sato's father is hiding. Hurley, do you know what it's all about? Oh, well, who can say? What? But you said... Please, I have engagements, my dear fellows. My calendar is quite surprisingly full today. And a stringent analysis of the matter would be excessive, I feel, even if I were quite at leisure. So, man the fort on my absence, won't you, Iris? I don't know what accent I'm giving him now. I will, Hurley, don't worry. See you later. Bye. Oh yeah, I just noticed his mask was on his head now. He scuttled off rather quickly there. He scuttled. I think perhaps Professor Mikotoba isn't the only person hiding something here. Ah, the plot thickens with 3 C's. Sasuke-san was involved in 2 cases, but only one of them was forbidden from being published. By, of all people, Mr. Scholes. Aha! I found them at last! Iris, are they... The notes about the case. That's right. Susie and I compiled them together. The case of the haunted lodgings. Do you want to read them, Runa? Absolutely. Thank you, Iris. Oh, this is a new sound! This is a new song!
There are new tracks here, and they
Eee! I had no idea what secrets could still be hiding in the shadows of that case. But perhaps if I read over the notes again, something might come to light. That's the spirit! That's the spirit! I don't know why she said that threateningly! And so, Iris and I decided to read over the case notes again together. I am fighting down a burp as I'm reading. Excuse me. Everything from what happened to our investigation and that fierce battle in court that followed. Oh, there's a court trial in this case! Shit! Reliving every detail. I thought it was gonna be just like the Steam ship where it's just like investigations because it's reintroducing the dance of deduction again. Hi, Final! Yeah, I wasn't expecting a court trial in this case. This might be longer than I expected it to be then. I just had to find a clue, and I have all the time in the world. Because of course, I'm no longer allowed to practice law in the courts of Great Britain. What are you still doing there, Dad? Why haven't you returned? Oh, Avis is back. You really are, Final! Nah, I'm kidding, Final. It's happened like several times already. Don't worry about it. Oh fuck, shit. I didn't read that. And also, Mari, feel free to like drop off as I got affiliated.
Hmm?
Nah. It's just the badges on my channel. Okay, it was 6 months ago, a mysterious incident that unfolded in the winter streets of London. Back. A young woman was found lying on the snowy pavement on Briar Road with a knife on her back. Fortunately, her life is spared, but she was unconscious for several days following the incident.
Sounds really uncomfortable.
Yeah, also her pose, she just really gave up. The fog was thick and nobody saw her attacker, but by a cruel twist of fate, a visiting Japanese student was walking behind her at the time and was duly arrested. Natsume! The man was Soseki-san, and the man who effected his arrest was Mr. Shoves. That's not the actually, yeah, that is what when it was wearing that case. At the time.
But not anymore, cause...
Believing in our compatriot's innocence, Susato-san and I decided to represent Soseki-san in court. And after a grueling trial of many twists and turns, we finally managed to prove his innocence. Joyful, joyous, jubilation! Was the man's reaction after the trial, but his jubilation was short-lived. Jubilation. Do you think Soseki-san is good at tongue twister? Like, he's probably not gonna be good as Ryu, but I feel like...
Well, like, if he can pull that off, he can do a tongue twister.
Yeah. Man, I wish there was an extra where they just have, like, a tongue twister off. Ouch.
Ryu would invent it.
Right?
Go back to Japan and be like, alright, it's tongue twister time.
This is the new sports I have discovered while studying in Great Britain.
It's like, what change can I make to this country?
Tongue twisters! We received a telegram from Mr. Sholmes the following morning. Titties! The victim of the Briar Road stabbing has regained consciousness. Who's Sean? Hurry to boss at once. Who's Bart?
Me.
You? Okay, hello Bart. So, Susato-san and I summoned a handsome... Wait, a handsome?
Handsome?
Who's handsome? Who did you summon?
Me.
Hi, handsome. And headed immediately to the hospital. Whoa! My god! There's a rat! What the fuck are those? Oh, she's a painter! Why is there a whole ass rat in this hospital? There you are at last! Good morning, Mr. Jones. I think not. Oh! You're late! What on earth took you so long? Your telegram arrived only Your telegram only arrived at 5 o'clock, Mr. Scholes, and it's 20 minutes to the hospital. That's right, and it's 5:30 now. I think we made very good time. A time is utterly irrelevant. The fact is, I have been waiting for what felt like an eternity. I'm so tired of his shit.
You didn't sign up for this.
In point of fact, I myself was awoken at 4 this morning by a telegram boy. A feeling it was somewhat unjust that I alone had been roused at such an hour. I sent one to you. Well, thanks for that. It's so fucking petty. And I'm just messing with the volumes in OBS. Anyway, you're here now, so the victim is over there. She's only just regained consciousness. Oh! She's so cute! You should introduce yourselves, and I shall observe from here. Why? Why? So that's the lady who was found in the snow-covered pavement with a knife on her back. Her name is... yes. Here we are. Miss Green. When you're named like that, do you think you just have no choice but to wear green all your life?
I mean, it would make sense that you do, but unless you're feeling rebellious and you wear like what, yellow?
Yeah. Look, there's a photograph in the frame here. Oh! Oh yes, it's a picture of a young gentleman. It looks like about the same age as Miss Green, I would say. Aww. Perhaps the young woman's special someone, do you think?
Mm-hmm.
My, Mr. Naruhodo, I didn't know you had a sense for matters of the heart. Not in the least. I sincerely said the first thing I thought of.
He just has a knack for it.
Yeah, it comes naturally to him.
Yeah.
This rounded wooden figure isn't the most charming, is it? I don't think that's a decoration, Mr. Naruhodo. It's an artist's mannequin, I believe, used when practicing sketching the human form in different poses. Really? It's not exactly what you'd call a typical figure. For that purpose, though, is it? Sorry, I had a burp. Ryunosuke still had the time to make breakfast before running to here. I'm sorry I hit the mic. No, I suppose not. I confess I've never seen one so full-figured before. Well, if you want to draw a full-figured person, it's the right tool for the job. What is this giant stool? This looks like the patient's treatment notes. Let's see. Do not feed.
Wow.
What is this place, a zoo? I mean, there's a rat right there. You know, I seem to remember seeing an almost identical sign in our local park. For the pigeons, yes. This is a person. Poor woman. I hope she hasn't read this. I'm pretty sure she has. There are lots of bottles in the cabinet, aren't there? Do you think it's safe to keep them like that? If you are a patient here, I feel sure you take some medicine by mistake when you were half asleep. That is a worry, but at least the cabinet has a lock, even if it's only a flimsy-looking one. Oh! I've no doubt you managed to unlock that somehow while you were half asleep as well. She both has too much trust and so little trust in us. There are limits to even what I can do when I'm half asleep, you know, Mrs. Sato. Okay, what's this about Ratatouille? A mouse! Mr. Naruto! An enormous mouse! Vermin in a hospital? That doesn't seem the best. He isn't even phased. Well, because yeah, of course he has one on his shoulder, but... But it looks like a very healthy specimen, doesn't it? It's very plump. I'm not sure we can say that's down to the excellence of this facility, if that's what you were thinking. Okay, we're just gonna ignore that. Nice. What's this? This looks like a treatment note for who's ever occupying this bed. Let's see. Do not permit to run around the hospital. The patient doesn't seem to be here at the moment, so... He or she is probably running around the hospital then. Oh dear, how worrying. What's worrying is why they haven't discharged the patient yet. Good question. There are all sorts of medicine in this cabinet. Look, I'm sure it was safe leaving them to reach everyone like this. Yes, you're right. I can imagine if you were peckish, you might try a whole bottle or two. Why does everyone believe that Ryunosuke would put anything in his mouth? Well, at least there seems to be a little lock to secure the cabinet doors. I don't imagine that would stop you if you're hungry. I worry that you'd break the lock. Hunger doesn't turn me into a criminal, you know, Mrs. Sato. I mean, you know, considering the extra where he stole some ribs, I'm pretty sure their worries are founded. What's this bag? That must be a bag of Miss Green's personal belongings. She would have been brought directly here after she was found stabbed in the pavement, though. I was about to read it stabbed. I expect a friend or family member probably bought some things for her. Alright then, let's see what's inside. A change of clothes, no doubt, and... No, Mr. Naruhodo, you must never scrutinize a young maiden's personal belongings. But the young maiden might have chocolates, or biscuits, or carrots. This is exactly why! Susato doesn't trust you with anything. Okay, let's talk to the lady herself. Good morning. Oh, she's so cute! Hello, I'm Ryunosuke Naruto from the Empire of Japan. Oh, no! Was it your knife that I should demand help? No. I'm a lawyer. And I'm Susato Mikatoba. Pleased to meet you. Oh no! Was it your knife then? I should have went. No. I assure you, I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. We heard that you regained consciousness and we wanted to come and give you our best wishes. Best wishes? For me? Thank you. I'm Olive Green. I'm an artist. Well, no, that's not right, is it? I'm trying to be an artist. Well, what I really mean is, I desperately want to be an artist. But the truth is, I don't have any talent. I know I don't. Aww, that's just artist things. Never believing you have talent. Very accurate. It's no wonder I was stabbed in the back. That doesn't have anything to do with being stabbed. I don't think that's related, actually. Gosh, this young lady seems to bend over backwards to put herself down. Seeing as we're here, we should ask her about what happened to her from her perspective, I suppose. To suddenly be struck in the back by a blade as you were walking along the pavement. What a terrible experience you had, Miss Green. It was cold that day, and the fog was so thick, I couldn't see a thing. That was 4 days ago now, I think. Is that right? Yes, that's right. I'm afraid you've been comatose all this time. But the case has been solved, hasn't it? Well, I've been here in the hospital, I mean. Pshaw! And then it has, madame. Spectacularly, by none other than I, Herlock Sholmes. Bet you didn't do shit! Mr. Sholmes, as you well know, it was Mr. Naruhodo's hard work in court that solved the case. Are you yet to hear what happened, Miss Green? Yes, I'm afraid so. The gentleman from the police force is supposed to come to fill me in shortly. Oh, I see. Me coming round seems to have made everyone frantically busy. I'm so sorry. I should never have regained consciousness. That was selfish of me. No, she's baby. Wait, do you have? Is she in the court records? Oh, there she is. Oh, she's 20. She's baby. Art school student whose ambition is to become an artist. She's regained consciousness and been confident for days after starting the bag. Oh no! We're also relieved that you're on demand. Miss Green, we really are. Really, we are. That kind of attitude. Maybe her surname should be blue, not green. You know, it makes so much more sense now after the escapade one where Kazuma just said, all you have to say is like puns, wordplay, and jokes. So, you're an artist, are you, Miss Lee? Oh, no, I can't possibly claim that. I'm a fledgling artist at best. I mean, I'm a student of art, really, at the Thorndike Academy of Fine Arts. Oh my, an Academy of Fine Arts! Great Britain is such a wonderful country. Tell me, Miss Green, do you live hereabouts? Oh, no, actually. I don't deserve it, but I have a little flat on Brixton Road. I see. How very interesting. Oh, no, is it? Brixton is some 10 steps away from the underground from here. And Thorndike Academy is a mere 3-minute walk from Brixton Town Centre. What does that mean, Mr. Sholmes? Perhaps not, but Briar Road is a far less salubrious part of town by comparison, dwelt in by those of inferior means, including the maleficent Mr. Mustache. Inferior means? I suppose Sasuke does fit the bill. It struck me as somewhat out of the ordinary for a young fine art student to be walking in such a district. That's all. What's this? She suddenly clammed up. Mr. Sholmes, you should be ashamed of yourself prying into a young maiden's private affairs. Oh, dear me, forgive me. If you don't mind, I'm being discharged so shortly, so I need to pack up my things. Oh, yes, of course, we won't keep you. Thank you so much, Miss Green. That's it? Whoa! Jesus Christ. Is there a Mr. Narrow Father here? Mr. Narrow Father! Narrow Father now? Well, if you're looking for a Naru Hodo, the lawyer, that's me, but... Ah, Mr. Naru Father, good. This is for you. It's a message from Mr. Saucy Nuts. Mr. Saucy Nutsman. Mr. Natsume? Send a message? To me? But why would a police be delivering a message from Mr. Natsume? Exactly. What's going on? Was this Scotland Yard constable doing playing delivery boy at a time of this morning? What are you waiting for? Let me see that. Oh! Well, this is most unexpected. Is something wrong, Mr. Sholmes? Is something home, Mr. Sholmes? It says, have you not seen the note? You took it! No! How could I have? It would seem that London's criminals have no intention of letting the great detectives rest. A new case calls, a case of murder no less. We must report at once. Why do you need me there? Murder? Call a cab! Time is of the essence. But the trouble is, we've yet to read Mr. Natsume's note. I was thinking we ought to pay him a visit at his lodgings once we did. That would be entirely convenient. Convenient? What do you mean? It's all here in this note, my dear fellows. The murder we must investigate took place at Mr. Mustache's lodgings. Wait, what? I'll have a fiacre at once. It was only yesterday that Sasuke-san was in court and we were dispelling doubts about his innocence. And now, the very next day, there's a murder at the man's own address. He may very well be the unluckiest man alive, and that's coming from Ryunosuke. Or, so it seemed to us at the time, but we were soon to discover that it was worse than we thought. What on earth? Oh my! The gentleman is deceased, without question. He's dead. Look, I'm sending Mr. Naruto Esquire! Mr. Natsume! Why? Why is this happening? Why to me? Is he going to court again? Are you fucking shitting me? I've only just gotten out of court. Yesterday, I was finally home after 2 days of misery. And then I wake up the next day to this. No early bird should catch a worm like this. Full warm without wiggle. I'd say you're in high spirits again this morning, Mr. Mustache. Ah! Not the horrible airlock shows! Shoo! Shove off! Show yourself to the door! I never invited you! Mr. Sholmes came here with us. I'm quite sure he'll be able to help you, Mr. Natsume. I am entirely at your disposal, Mr. Mustache. What can I do for you? Uh-oh. Here they are, already. The busybodies. Ah, Inspector Grayson! What a pleasant surprise. Pleasant, is it? Gives me heartburn every time I see your face in a crime scene, Sholmes. Ha! I deduce, Inspector, that your heartburn is a result of your excessive consumption of fried food. Good morning, Inspector. This is a crime scene. Don't you go touching anything. Or, good morning to you too, Sunshine. Oh, no. That's it? Oi! I said hands up! Got to mess up the crime scene. Oh, no, I just wanted to look, that's all. No chance, I know you're kind, you'll mess it up just by looking at it. Someone's in a bad mood. There's certainly some bad air in here, isn't there? Did you just fart? Alright, it sounds like I'd better talk to the inspector first to try curry some favors. What a terrible thing to have happened. I've only been 3 days since I was arrested for the incident in the pavement outside. And then, having finally regained my freedom, it starts happening all over again. Endless existence of excruciating experiences! So, the victim lives here on the ground floor and your room is just one story up, isn't it? Yes, that's right. In a way, we were neighbors, I suppose. So, did you know the victim? Were you friends? Yeah, I probably shouldn't go all out, Mari, because it's like nighttime at me, and Sasuke loves to fucking shout. Hi, Mari. What is the matter? You're kind of muted on Discord. Did something come up? What's the matter with Sasuke-san now? It was an innocent enough question, wasn't it? Why does he seem so shaken by it? He wasn't a complete stranger. But he did invite me to... He never invited me to his room? Never! On my honor, I swear it! What an extreme reaction. You're probably wishing you'd never asked now, aren't you, Mr. Naruto? When we found him here, I felt wretched, which is why I sent word asking you to come. Where's the inspector over there? For the devices, no, it's okay. I don't mind you like speaking up and making jokes. It's fun. Oh my god, his legs are so spread wide. I don't mind you in the call, Mari. It's okay, it's cool. So, Inspector, what was the victim's name? Who was he? Is he in court records now? Hello. I can't believe you are older than Natsume. How did that happen? contribute anything. I like your company as it is. Yeah. You can just focus on your drawing. And also, hearing someone laugh makes me more confident in the shit I'm saying. So, name. Name, Inspector, name. Mari! 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 What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? I'm sending a screenshot.
He's not real. That's not a real person. That's not
Oh
a
shit!
guy.
Whenever I click on something, it advances.
You should have expected it. Like, there's Sherlock, there's Soseki, and
There was Mori all guy.
it was inevitable.
Hi, hi, Keisha. I'm disconnected so many times now. Mr. William Shakespeare. He was a lodger here. As you can probably tell, he was an actor. A bit of a dead loss, as it happens. Or just dead. Jesus. Mr. Shakespeare was a landlord, old Mr. Gyrodep, and the other lodger, Mr. Natsume, who found him. Why? The fella didn't rise at his usual hour, so Gyrodep got worried and kicked the door down. He kicked him? He kicked the door down with his... Yeah, as I was saying. But doesn't Mr. Gyrodep have a bad leg? Ah, yes, you're right. It was that jittery Japanese hatchback over there that was actually did the kicking. Aww. Really? Soseki-san? The victim was pretty hard up, it seems. Even done some time inside for petty crimes. Really? Petty crimes? He was a criminal? He had no money, no place to go, and no friends. His only acquaintances were the people in this house. Oh, miserable life and a miserable end to it. So, what exactly is Mr. Natsume still doing here? He's not involved in the investigation, so shouldn't you have sent him away for the crime scene? Well, I'm not saying it's because the fellow looks odd or anything, or that he acts suspicious. But I thought it would be prudent to take a statement from the cohabiter. Okay? You nearly said culprit there, didn't you? Oh dear. Mr. Natsume appears to be under suspicion again. Oh, but the door was locked from the inside, right? And Natsume kicked the door down. Why is he the prime suspect?
Guess you'll have to find out.
It certainly seems that way. He does just come across as such an odd fellow, doesn't he? Poor man. How unfortunate. Oh, shut the fuck up, Ryunosuke. You were blamed for murder twice as well. Anyway, I can't say much until the coroner gets here. But I don't think the fella's been gone that long. The body's still warm. Then how did Susie say he was like undeniably dead? Even if the inspector would allow it, I don't think I could bring myself to touch a dead body. I see that! Is everything still not investigatable? Yeah.
Oh dear.
Why is he like this?
I hate him. Wait, I'll be back.
Okay. Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? Ah, you seem very observed to know it, my dear fellow. Investigating, naturally. There's nothing natural about that pose. Mr. Sholmes, have you made some miraculous discovery? Patience, madame, patience. I've not been here in this room for 5 minutes. So far, all I've managed to deduce is what actually happened. Oh, you son of a bitch. My goodness! But isn't that everything we need to know, Mr. Schultz? Now, that you propose the idea, I believe one could indeed see it that way. At the present time, I have managed to draw two incontrovertible conclusions. The first, that there was a physical struggle here last night in which the victim fought for his life. Mr. Natsume, what's wrong? Is something that Mr. Schultz said significant somehow? No, don't mind me. Forgot I was here. Well, that wasn't telling. And my second conclusion is that there was a poison lingering in the air here last night that passes the victim's lips. Was it like gas poison or something? What was it called? Carbon monoxide poisoning? Nonsense! You good? Alright, Mr. Natsume. Why are you reacting so extremely to Mr. Schultz's deductions? No, please, pretend I'm not here. Invisible, ineffable, inscrutable, insignificant. Impossible to ignore. You must tell us everything, Mr. Sholmes. Spare no detail. But of course, let this theatrical tragedy before us be unraveled by my great deductions, presented for your pleasure in 2 acts. Oh, by the way, this was like an idea I had while doing the first game. Like, what if I do a drinking game? Every time her luck shows, it's described as great. Like, of course I don't drink alcohol, so I probably just drink water. But yeah, I'm gonna try that. I'll take a sip every time he is described to be great. Just like this time. Him and anything that involves him. Yeah, that'd be funny, but I don't drink alcohol, sadly. So I'll just drink water. Keep hydrated, folks. 1 sip each time he's described as great. Or anything he does is described as great. We've heard some truly astounding great deductions from Mr. Schultz in the past. I am going to explode. This is a bad idea. No doubt this will be no exception. What miracles will unfold before our eyes this time. So, my dear fellows, bring your delight and wonder. Let the curtains rise. For her luck shows, logic and reasoning spectacular. Act 1. Yeah, that's the thing though, it kind of ruins the illusion of that screen. Those are really cool. It also ruins that illusion of that screen, so oh, he changed clothes. Careful observation of the victim reveals as to events that transpired in this disconsolate room last night. Oh, foam at the mouth of the deceased clearly indicates he used the use of a poison. What the fuck? Next to the victim, we notice a large dining plate which contains, you will observe, 1/2 of a sizable bar of soap. Meaningful? Indubitably. Why is this soap yet set so purposely upon the dish, like the victim's last supper? In fact, yes. Could it be that a man was about to eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answer. It appears that the young man's appetite was his undoing. What are you doing? Taking up arms in the form of cutlery, the victim engaged in a deadly battle for his life. Yet, the struggle against this hunger was in vain, for... Oops, sorry, Sherlock had something to eat before this. For, in the end, he couldn't resist devouring the slippery feast. But London's foul soap is besmirched by foul poison. Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the contents of the plate. Are you sure it's just a block of butter? The soap and the lather about the young man's mouth are too perfectly matched to ignore. The cause of that was clearly intoxication due to excessive ingestion of foul soap. Though personally, I have the greater interest in the state of foul candle. I fucking hate this man.
What's wrong with this guy?
So you're knocking someone for eating soap, but proudly admit that you eat candle wax. Ah, well, that's a different. Okay, that's a bit something wrong with the costume, sadly. Because the transitions for this were really. A man after final, do you also eat candle wax? Because of that identify, we proceed to Act 2, where we ponder the next question. Was this suicide or murder?
You could see it through Twitch.
Twitch?
What preference? Like that's what you prefer.
Okay, let me stream to you the game. Oh, it's already on this.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. I thought it was gone. Oops.
No, what's weird?
Okay, we missed a line. Did the mind dine and die alone? The single teacup suggests the answer. To draw a conclusion on such meager evidence would be foolish, however, certainly. The careful criminal could have absconded with his own cup to cover his tracks. Like some white bitch from Case 1. Well, allow me to lift the veil of doubt, my dear fellow. Oh wow. Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock. Though forced open now, at the time of the incident, this door was locked. And the sole key was in the victim's pocket. Okay, so I've reconnected with Twitch now, with OBS now, and I'm also gonna tell them the story. I just received an email from Quora, of all places, and the header, hello Twitch, I am back, or am I?
Or
Alright. You read you didn't hear the full one? Okay, fine. Well, so I just received an email from Quora that said, where did Nezuka's breast come from? Nezuka. And you know what? Valid question. Why indeed would they ask that? Okay, back to the game. In other words, when the victim consumed the poison, he must have been alone. Alone with his inferior soap, from whence wafted an inferior scent. And with an acrid aroma lingering in the air, the victim met his end in tragic solitude. We can take comfort only in the fact that his soul was well cleansed on its way to the hereafter. Why is he like that? You know, when the transition happens like that, it makes me imagine now that Ryunosuke is just imagining him in those clothes. Like, you know.
he's just crazy like that.
Yeah, you know, like in those, imagine him if he was naked kind of scenarios, but imagine if he was wearing this, like, with this cool Japanese-inspired clothes.
God. It's like, he wants to diminish the fact that he's white so bad that he tries to imagine him as a Japanese guy.
I mean, hey. Thus concludes the final act of Sherlock Holmes' great deduction. Ah, shit, that was another great. This challenge I made for myself is gonna kill me. At the very least, makes me pee a lot.
Wait, are you taking a drink or something? Are you
Yeah.
sipping? What?
Yeah, but didn't you hear? I said like I was going to. Every time Sherlock or anything Sherlock does is described as great, I'm going to take a sip of water.
Oh no.
Oh no, that doesn't sound promising.
Have fun.
There's just one thing, Mr. Sholmes. You are disposed to identifying just one thing, aren't you, Mr. Naruhodo? Pray, what concerns you? Well, no matter how hungry he was, do you really think a man would have eaten soap? You are talking to a man that eats candle wax. It is quite apparent that this man had barely a penny to his name. It is a curious thing, but to one so disuse, soap can suddenly appear quite irresistibly appetizing.
No.
How extraordinary! In truth,
Oh my god.
I've tried a little soap myself in the past. You've eaten it, you mean? My dear fellow, it was some time ago now. My postulation was that it would cleanse my gut. Why?
I hate him. I hate
And-
him so.
Did it? As I writhed in agony on the floor and split the contents of my spilt the contents of my stomach. Yes, I believe it did. The experience taught me a valuable lesson. Soap is quite poisonous. Okay, so I was talking from experience.
He's insufferable.
It has an unpleasant taste and leads to great discomfort. In summary, I cannot recommend it. Thanks. Believe me, I wouldn't eat it even if you did. There's something that troubles me as well, actually. Oh, what's that? Mr. Natsume. I couldn't help noticing him shuddering and quivering at the corner of my eyes. Though, almost as if Mr. Show's deduction touched a nerve somehow. Nonsense. Aww, he withered. Well, that clenched teeth episode didn't last. I think, judging by Mr. Natsume's reaction, the great detective's deduction may need some gentle corrections in order to reach the actual truth. Yes, Mr. Show's observations and deductions are sometimes a little too sharp. He has a tendency to hit the nail on the side of the head and dive it in an obtuse angle, and he posed it.
He's saying it out loud.
When he does that, it falls to us to straighten things out. Aww. Alright then, let's see what we can do. Yes, we must pick out the keywords in Mr. Show's quite brilliant deduction. Okay, that wasn't great, so I'm not gonna take a sip. And discreetly exchange them for something that makes a little more sense. If we can do that, I'm sure we'll arrive at what Mr. Show's meant to say in the first place. In that case, are you ready for the second phase of the day performance of the day? Once again, my dear fellows, for your continued delight and wonder, let the curtains rise. For Herlock Sholmes, logical and reasoning spectacular, Act 1. Oh god. Yay! I can see Chinosuke now! Yay!
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Chinosuke! Careful observation of the right. And the man is a poison. And quite larger plate contains, you will observe, 1/2 sizable bar of soap, meaningful indubitably. Which is why the soap is a purpose of imitation like the victim's last supper, in fact, yes. Couldn't the man eat it? Of course, the fork reveals the answers. Well, you can't deny that the fork implies the man was eating something, or about to eat something. But also, how did he die with it, with him still clutching it? Yes, that's true. If I were to decide to eat soap, I should prefer to use a fork than attempt with the chopsticks. And of course, only half of the bar of soap is left on the plate. But might there be some other explanation? Something material that proves whether or not the man really ate some soap. Is it really soap? Are you sure it's just that butter?
It's so.
Alright, I forgot you can move around. Oh, his hat. Well, there's a cup, that's for sure. Oh, this angle is weird. It doesn't really give you a lot of wiggle room. Oh, look, his foot. Why is there actually... I suppose you'd eat soap with fork, wouldn't you? I don't think it's a question of which implement you'd use. You shouldn't eat soap full stop. But then why? Why does this man have a fork in his hand? Oh dear. I understand your frustration, Mr. Naruhodo. But please, don't take it out on me. The point is, if we decide the man uses this fork to eat the soap, we wouldn't be changing Mr. Show's deduction. So, we should really ought to discover some other clues. Wait, what else is there? The range here is very limited. I know it's a teacup. Okay. Do you think he was drinking tea with his soap? The cup's empty, so there's no way of knowing. Ah, how about this for an idea? Perhaps the cup was full of water, and then he was dissolving soap on it so he could gulp as much down as possible. Please remember that he may not actually have been a soap lover that has been made out to be. There's only 2 things you can click on.
Are you sure?
I mean, I'm trying to like look at other stuff. His hat isn't. Wait, is that? Oh, okay. I thought it was like part of his hat. Like there was a floopy end. Look, there's more soap on the floor here. And Mr. Shakespeare must have loved that stuff. Let's not jump to conclusion, Mr. Naruto. Look closely at the soap. Do you see that it would fit perfectly together with the other part of a table? How could that be? I think that there are 2 halves of the same bar that broke apart. Ah. This looks like butter. If they wanted to make it look like soap, they should have used like another color. Ah. The controls are finicky. Okay? Chinosuke! You wanna see Chinosuke? Yeah! Chinosuke! He's here! Wait! Why are you advancing? Oh, okay. Could it be that the man was about to eat it? Of course, the other piece of soap reveals the answer. There's a shelf. Being the other half of the soap in the table, in short, the victim was not eating the soap at all. But it's obvious, really. For no depth of hunger can drive any man to attempt to eat soap. I'll fucking choke you.
But eat it.
I'll make you eat it. I'll make you eat it. Look at Chinosuke! He's so close to this. And like Rio's looking at him like, this bitch really sad. Even I, with my unquenchable thirst for practical knowledge, took only a single bite. But that begs the question of how the man was poisoned, because there's no sign of any food on the table. An excellent observation, Mr. Naruto. The one that furnishes us with the answer we seek. The one foul soap is between foul poison. Yes, the victim's life is content of the play. Mr. Sholmes is still pushing the soap argument then. Perhaps he suggested the man lick the soap rather than eat it. If soap in London is that poisonous, I don't think I want to wash my hands with it. Rinosuke? I hope you're washing your hands. But there are no signs of any food under this room at all. Of course, food isn't the only thing that passes people's lips, is it? Can we turn around more now? The angle for this one is kinda weird. So, the teacup? Yes, a western vessel for the serving of infusion of dried tea leaves. Motherfucker does not know what analysis means and then uses this kind of wording to describe a teacup. I hate you. It's a teacup, Mr. Naruto, as you well know. Stop putting on airs. And it's empty. Ah, so we've already established that the victim wasn't eating soap when he died. However, there's a significant evidence to suggest that he was drinking tea. My thoughts exactly. Chinosuke! Yes, the victim's life was claimed by poison that tainted the teacup. Indeed, cups that have been the vessel of choice for practicing poisoners over the centuries. And it appeared that this victim drank every last drop. There's no lead us to the immutable conclusion. The cause of that was clearly intoxication due to the ingestion of poison contained in his teacup. So it's not incredibly wrong. Poison in the tea! The cause of that identified, we proceed to Act 2, where to ponder the next question. Was the suicide of murder? Is it other thing on your last supper? Did the man die? Ah, the Western vessel for infused hot drinks again is already featured heavily in our deduction so far. Yes, we can imagine that shortly before his death, Mr. Shakespeare was having a drink of tea. There would be nothing remarkable about that, but what troubles me is Mr. Natsume's reaction when he heard Mr. Show's suggesting it. There might be more to the deduction than it seems. We must closely examine the scene of the crime again for more clues. Yeah, I saw the other cup. It's another Western vessel for infused. It's a teacup! Susie was tired of this shit. And it too is empty. Given that he's actually holding this one in his hand, we can assume that this is the teacup from which Mr. Shakespeare was actually drinking. But if that's the case, this changes everything. Everything we've deduced up to now is turned on its head. I have a bad feeling about this. I almost don't want to say it. Yes, I know exactly how you feel. Ah. Jinosuke! Did a man die and die alone? These other could suggest the answer. Yes, there were 2 teacups in the room all along. In other words, there's a strong indication that the victim's last supper. Hey, isn't that the banker? There was a guest present. At the very least, we can say now with certainty that somebody else was here in the room last night, taking tea with the victim. What are you talking about? Utterly, unbelievably, unjustly, unreasonable! To draw a conclusion on such a meager evidence would be foolish, however. Certainly. In which case, what more can we deduce about this possible guest at the table? Well, allow me to lift the veil in doubt, my dear fellow. What do you mean to say? You know who exactly was in this room at the time of the victim's death? Indeed, what reveals the answer, of course, is the broken lock. I'm not sure I like where this deduction is going now. I'm afraid it's too late to go back on the halcyon days of eating too much soap. But the identity of the guest who was in here last night when the victim passed away is somebody I have a very bad feeling about. Well, you can try to ignore your feelings, but we cannot ignore the truth, Mr. Naruhodo. No, I suppose not. Time to look around again. Ooh, there's a candle. Even Mr. Shakespeare didn't eat candles, it seems. We've already established that he didn't eat soap either. Do you think perhaps his guest brought this candle here last night? Even if he or she did, does it reveal anything about the guest's identity? Good point. There goes my idea. Snuffed out like the candle will be. If you sigh so deeply, Mr. Naruto, you're in danger of blowing out the flames. Jesus. Ooh, glasses? Oh. I know it's probably the stuff on the table, but I just want to look around. Oh dear! The latch is most definitely broken, isn't it? The lock was kicked in by Mr. Natsume, according to Mr. Garadeb told the inspector. Who knew these short, thin legs had so much strength in them? I'm not sure the length of his legs is in any way significant here. Perhaps this is more about his poor state of the door than Mr. Natsume's strength, actually. Careful. If he overheard every remark, he'd almost certainly have a lively response. I don't know, can this broken log really tell us anything about who was here? I'm assuming... At first glance, it seems like the only thing in this room are the makeshift stage and the costumes. I overlooked these 3 books initially. I wonder what they are. Let's see, the titles read... The picture of Monsieur Lecoq, Canterbury Earnings, and Emile Fergabarou. Wait, I'm sure I've heard those titles before. It could just be an incredible coincidence, but they're the exact same 3 books that Mr. Natsume purchased the other day. What? Yes, on the day of the unfortunate incident when Miss Green was stabbed, Sasaki-san has just been to a bookshop and bought them. That's right. And now these 3 books are here in the room of the victim. Yet Mr. Natsume claims he never had been here before. Mr. Natsume, why do you lie? What does this mean, do you think? I really don't know what to make of it. What's this? It's empty. Empty of liquid, but full of air. That makes you think, doesn't it? Makes me think that you're full of hot air. We should be thinking oh shit. We should be thinking about oh god. Even Susie is tired of it. Mother, Susato-san's response is cleverer than my original riddle. Aww.
I think it's just a British influence. Everyone's just tired.
Yeah, it's really jaded them. Shinosuke! Indeed. Oh no, why do you have this cadence in your voice now? Indeed. The reveal of the answer, of course, is the pile of familiar books. Quite so. It's no mere coincidence that these 3 titles are here in this room. The link is right here. I am Link. Tell the truth. Mr. Natsume, you purchased these books 4 days ago at the second-hand bookshop. This is coincidence. In that case, you'll be able to bring the same 3 titles from your own room, will you not? At this very moment. No, never, non-negotiable. If you can't bring your own copies here, it proves that these 3 books are in fact yours. What was that transition? Having purchased the books 4 days ago and returned to your lodgings, you were arrested the very next day. So you could conceivably have brought the books here that evening, but you never mentioned that. In other words, you could only have brought the 3 books here in the victim's room. Damn. Tiny segments, like probably a bunch by now of the streams. Last night, having returned to your lodgings after the trial concluded at the Old Bailey. Oh, I like that. Those things they did with the snaps, they were so cool. In short, there is only one possible conclusion. The victim died here in this room last night as a result of poisoning. And that night, the victim had a visitor. Shinosuke! And I hate his face! And a visitor. Look at them! Me! Was you, Mr. Sasaki Natsume. Look at Shinosuke!
That's a one brain cell.
I wanna bet Shinosuke has more brain cells than Ryunosuke.
Definitely.
This concludes the final act of Shom's great deduction. Sasaki Natsume at the scene. Elementary. Not again. Not again. Not again. Not again! Well then, Mr. Natsume, it appears you're gonna have to accompany me down the yard again. But wait! Hold your horses! Yes. Door, key, locked, entry, exit, entirely impossible. He's so flustered, his being even stranger than normal. What? You think that's an alibi? You could have just been a copy. You live in the same building after all. You'd have plenty of opportunity, I'm sure. Misery me! Sorry, sir. You'll get your chance to give your side of the story later. The facts speak for themselves, Mr. Mustache. You horrible lock shows! Really has found himself an arch rival now, hasn't he? Come now, no dilly-dallying. Outside, there's a carriage waiting. Welcome, Student Master Naruto Esquire. I never imagined I'd be in this position again, but you have to help me, please, please. I'm innocent. All right, I understand. We'll come to your cell later and talk about it. And one more thing. Oh, yes? My poor little kitty cat. Please give him his breakfast for me. Oh, little kitty cat. And so, his evil curse still apparently unbroken. Sasuke-san found himself once again the prime suspect in the case of murder. But it wasn't murder the first time! I thought it was just assault or something. Thanks to the incriminating deduction of the great... detective. My dear fellow, that honor belongs to you. Oh no. Oh no. The one time he doesn't want to take credit. Well, at least that means Inspector Gregson is no longer here. We can examine the crime scene in more detail now. Yes, that's right. Ah, and of course. What? Have you forgotten what the inspector mentioned before? It was the landlord, Mr. Garadev, who discovered Mr. Shakespeare. Ah, Mr. Garadev, yes. I expect you could find him in... I thought that said shitting room. In his sitting room in the top floor as usual. Right. You must remember to go and talk to him later then. Yay, examine the dead body. Oh, the poor man. So young to die. Do you suppose it was a very painful death? Being poisoned as he was? I don't know. All we can do now is hope that he'll be reborn to a better life. Yes, I suppose you're right. I wonder. Do you think that putting our hands together in the Japanese prayer will help a British soul? Sorry? I mean, they're Christian. They also do that thing. I made sure I had references ready for just such occasion as this, actually. This book is entitled The Beginner's Guide to Praying for the Departed, the British Way. I'll just reread it now. One moment. There's quite a spine on that book, isn't there? This is the very... Wait, really? That's all? What's this? We're back. It looks like part of an envelope, I think. Yes, oh, Inosuke. I think you may be right. Perhaps it was torn off when the letter was opened. Is that significant? Well, it's a little out of place, perhaps, when you look around the room. There's no sign of a letter, or the rest of the envelope, in fact, is there? Ah, she's right. And yet, there we have a torn off end of the envelope. This just strikes me as unusual. I agree, we'd better take this just in case. Okay, so that's tampering with the crime scene, exactly what Gregson said. Oh, why do we have the street map again? And the receipts. What? They didn't bother with a letter opener or scissor, did they? Yes, whoever opened it was clearly someone with unrefined temperament. And judging from the angle of the rapier, the person in question must have been right-handed. Mr. Sato! I think perhaps someone's been reading too much The Adventures of Herlock shows. You can never read too much of it, Mr. Naruto, never! Oh, that's all. Still there. There's not much in these shelves, is there? Just this wine glass and bottle. And both of them are cracked. Yes, not much use, are they? What's the matter? Oh, I was just reminded of the Reaper. That's all! Oh no! Did William Shakespeare take one of his bottles?
Maybe.
Prosecutor Lord Van Zeeks? Yes, he's so reckless with his wine glasses. I was thinking it's a waste that he should donate some to the needy.
She's made a point.
You can suggest it next time we meet. What about these funny little hits? Look at these extravagant bright costumes. Somehow they look out of place in this room with its grim, shady goings on. This one looks like a king's attire. A king? I've always dreamt of being a king. Aww.
Aw.
Oh, I think it'd be more suited as a feudal lord, a daimyo, or such like. Ooh. Oh no! With a chonmage top knot. Every Japanese man wishes he had a chonmage. Oh, you'd look wonderful with one, and you already have the sword. Can you imagine what would happen if I walked around the streets of London with a chonmage and a sword?
You guys are in a crime scene.
Yeah,
I
right?
need to think about that.
I really like that they're investigating a crime scene, a body literally 5 feet from them. You know, I've always wanted to be a king.
Priorities, priorities.
As we've seen from the outside, the window is completely bricked up. A vestige of a former window tax that Britons had to pay. What strange things they used to tax Great Britain. I mean, making people pay for the number of windows they've had in a property? It's extraordinary. It's heartbreaking to think that the poor having to block up their windows just to avoid an unaffordable tax. Oh! What is it, Mrs. Sato? If you look closely, a number of bricks are loose. Oh! Right. More soap! Oh, yes. And it's as though an amateur had broken out a few of them just here. Was it Mr. Shakespeare who did it, I wonder? Being a lodger renting this room, is there like a phantom soap thief or something? Ah, and look at this, Mr. Naruto. On the outside, there's a little ledge. And there's something on it. What? The outside? Are they just ignoring the soap?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, this heater. And here we have another disproportionately large machine. This looks like a meter of some kind. Ah, this is a gas meter, I think. It seems that in this district, residents pay for gas as they use it with coins. Ah, I see. Yes, now you've pointed it out. I can see that there's a slot here that just looks like it would take coins. So you mean if you put a coin in here? That's right. That would buy you about 2 hours of gas for light and heating. So, if you were a poor person with no money, you'd have to sleep in the freezing cold? Yes. Or if you were a scatterbrain with no change because you forgot to exchange your money at the bank. Thank goodness there's no meter in our office. Okay, is this also... I thought it was another thing that's... This is a gas wall light, isn't it? It must be connected to a gas pipe in the wall. Gaslight. A gas stove. London really is a city of gas. But now that I think about it, Mr. and Mrs. Gardem had an open fire on the top floor, didn't they? Oh, yes, you're right. I don't recall seeing a gas stove up there. Well, I much prefer a real fire anyway. It's so much cozier. Not everyone can afford it, Rinos gas, we've learned. Is this some sort of makeshift stage? This is some sort of makeshift stage, I think, isn't it? Where does the audience sit, though? For a night of Shakespeare shams... Wait! Wait! Wait!
What?
It just occurred to me, right? This can't be the real Shakespeare, because Shakespeare was an actual person to them.
Yeah.
I thought this was like the actual representation of Shakespeare to the games.
Oh my god. Yeah, do that.
And you gaslighted me so hard and I forgot that they actually mentioned Shakespeare in the escapades. So he really is just a sham spear.
He's just a sham.
Sorry, I had to stretch my back. Actors aspiring to the great stage must practice their art, Mr. Naruto, with or without an audience. In fact, on a related note, perhaps you should set up a mock bench for the yeah! In your office. What? Then you could practice your art every single day. I'll think about it. If you promise to don a beard and play the role of the judge.
Oh my god.
Well, if it would help you achieve your goal.
Aww.
This I have to see. Aw, I want the next time we go to the room that there's a thingy there. I think that's all of it. So we also have to look from the outside. Oh no, I haven't inspected this yet. The soup wasn't there. Brr, it's so cold. It's so cold outside. You didn't feel for the gap. It did snow all last night. It would be cold. But more importantly, what is this on the ledge out there? What are those snow-covered lumps? Is the snow like... is this soap like a metaphor for opium? Are these drugs?
It's just so...
4 bars of soap! Soap? What are bars of soap doing lined up on the ledge outside the window? I have no idea. But the pair of them look rather charming like that. Still, it's very strange, isn't it? Bars of soap lined outside the window. I think perhaps we should take one. There are 2, after all. Oh dear, I suppose we could. Oh, what's this? Look here, at this soap. Ah, there. Do you see? It's in the middle there. There's a patch that's a different color. It's sort of transparent, but some sort of fancy design, I suppose. Only in Great Britain. It looks like the Hinomaru flag of Japan, doesn't it? How wonderful! It's probably a very expensive brand. Expensive? Then what is it doing in this ramshackle old room? Damn. What do we have here? This part is a different color. It's an exquisite design, isn't it? Trust the British to turn a boring bar of soap into something special. I quite like it. It reminds me of the Hinomaru design of the Japanese flag. I expect this is a rather expensive soap. That doesn't seem likely, given who it belongs to. Okay, so we aren't allowed to do anything with it? Well, that's boo-boo. Probably have to wait for the trial. Okay, I think that's all of it. Oh, we can view Briar Road and present. Okay, let's do the Briar Road. It's the old bike. I wonder if these William Robins are those like old characters from old Ace Attorney games as well.
I don't remember.
Sounds like a generic white name.
Probably just a generic white name.
Why has somebody built this snowman in some sort of pedestal, do you think? It's not a pedestal, Mr. Naruto. It's part of the snowman's body. Really? But it's already a perfectly good body. Well, it's true that British snowmen are usually made with 2 balls of snow. Perhaps this is a foreigner. And now we're looking at him as if he's strange. Poor man. I know how he feels. If anything, it's a Japanese and British 2-ball snowmen that are the strange ones, isn't it? After all, real people do have 3 sections: head, torso, and legs. Do you ever think that perhaps you think about things too much? Coming from you?
Ryu doesn't think at all.
He overcomplicates things when it doesn't need to be. London's blanketed in fog again today, and the sky is covered in clouds. But if you look carefully in the distance, you can just make out the Crystal Tower being built. Ah, the Crystal Tower! Yes! The centerpiece of the great exhibition that's to open 6 months' time. Everyone's talking about the Great Exhibition of London at the time, it seems. Okay, I'm gonna be so mad if we don't actually see the Crystal Tower, or we don't actually get to explore the Crystal Tower. Well, it's to be the largest event of this kind anywhere in the world, technology and sciences from all over. Whatever, I fucked up that whole phrase. I can't wait for it myself! Do you think visiting students from the Far East like us will be granted entry? The last great exhibition was held in London and had more than 6 million visitors, it seems. And this time, the British are determined to make it an even bigger success, to outdo the Paris exposition. I see. That's an incredible number of people. And with so many people expected to attend, we should easily be able to slip in unnoticed. There's always the oddest approach of buying tickets at the main entrance, Mr. Naruhodo. Okay, that gives me more, that fits more to my headcanon that the Naruhodos were poor.
Yeah.
The exception of the top floor, where Mr. and Mr. Garden lives, all the windows are bricked up. Yes, that's because of an old window tax and charge of the one hand. In order to pay less tax, the poor members of society filled in as many on their windows. But the tax has been since abolished, hasn't it? So the window could all be opened up again, surely. Unfortunately, it appeared that the residents of the district can't afford to pay to have the work done. Yes, that's a sad state of affairs. Especially for people like poor Mr. Natsume, who have to live all cooped up in a windowless room. I suppose that's the price you pay for living in cheap accommodations. It's all rather pointless when you put it like that. Okay, what's this? Oh, you can't interact with the soap again?
No.
There always seems to be a bicycle outside the Gardner residence. I read that bicycles are extremely popular all over Great Britain at the moment, in fact. That one seems very warped though, especially the front wheel. Is that to make it more of a challenge to ride, do you think? No, I'm afraid that maybe the result of the rider's incompetence. For the front wheel to be so badly warped, I'm sure the rider may have been similarly afflicted. Then there's a good chance Mr. Natsume has been practicing on his bicycle, I think. Wow. Oh dear, I fear you may be right. Okay, so they don't even judge it, okay. The Garden household and Mr. Natsume's lodgings are in a prominent position there in the corner. Alright, I'm just gonna... Poor Mr. Garden. He won't be able to sell this house anymore either. Jeez. No one's gonna want to lodge with them.
I mean, that's why it's so cheap.
Yeah, but even then, there's been 2 deaths. There's no way even for cheap people. Well, I guess if you're really down on your luck.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I look at the building, I can't help feeling that it does rather look as though it would collapse in even the smallest earthquake, doesn't it? And it's supposed to be haunted as well? I think I might have a hunch as to why Sasuke-san has such a hunchback. That doesn't have... Okay, I think that's all there is outside. God, I don't know what voice to give. I'm pretty sure the wife isn't here, right? She's in jail.
Probably, yeah.
Here we are again, the eccentric landlord's eccentric top floor abode. We're here because Mr. Garadev's the one who discovered the incident this morning, don't forget. Ah, you chaps, eh? Yes, good morning, sir. Thank you for your cooperation in court yesterday. It was quite a trial. As much for Mr. Garadev as anyone, really. Came straight back here after all the business at the bail yesterday. Didn't expect to wake up to more bally nonsense this morning. I wonder if you wouldn't mind telling us exactly what happened, Mr. Garadev? Yes, I suppose you'd like to know about that dead loss of an actor chap in the ground floor room. Those were exactly Inspector Gregson's words, weren't they? Aw, you don't have to stand for us, sir. It's okay. You can just sit. Because I'm going to examine everything else in your room before I talk to you. Oh, a copy of Rats Legacy. This is the same. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. Isn't that wonderful? This is the same. Naturally, if one asks oneself if such a singular detective could really exist. But having met the chap, it's undeniable. He is most certainly singular. Singularly dangerous. That's genuine public opinion for you, Mrs. Sato. Perhaps it should be reflected in the stories? Make no mistake, Mr. Naruto, I intend to snuff out the sort of public opinion we just heard. Personally, oh my god, Sato is going to kill Mr. Garadev. I'm starting to see where Mr. Shon's untainted reputation comes from now. There's a singular apron riding on that enormous cannon-shaped clothes horse. Look. No, Mr. Naruto, that's a real cannon. I knew that. I was just testing you. Piece of history, that is. Seen plenty of action on the battlefield, I can tell you. Now that the old girl and I are enjoying a peace and quiet of retirement together. And of course, should come in handy if the enemy decide to launch an attack again. Is there a war going on that I don't know about? Oh, buddy. In a few years. Hey, everything's all set! I just noticed!
What is that?
Like, all of them are, like, straight now. Because at case 4, they were all, like, skewed, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's your military uniform, isn't it, Mr. Garadev? Well, ceremonial garb, yes. Having been hanging on the wall ever since my retirement bash. Not in active service now, you know. Oh shit. Fuck, I inhaled saliva wrong.
You okay?
I'm dying! You can have the old thing if you wanted it. Well, it might suit Lord Van Zeeks! Perhaps. Oh, they're just teasing me now.
God.
An overly ostentatious outfit like this would be just what he needs. What do you mean?
It's extra.
Very tactful, Mrs. Sato. Very tactful indeed. Oh, you can't expect a heart for some reason, considering Leonosuke has a lot to say about fireplaces. Ah yes, those enormous mortar shells. It's quite something seeing them up close, isn't it? Didn't you say something about firing them into the barracks, Mr. Garadev? Ah, you remember, do you? Just a little mishap that occurred during training one day. What are you doing firing on your own men? The captain bellowed at me. I'm not surprised. A little mishap doesn't really do it justice, do they? Well, one has these little incidents when one's a hot-headed young private. Perhaps I should put some evidence that resulted from one of my little mishaps on display. What? Oh, does the great lawyer? Like the great detective fuck.
Oh my god.
Want to exhibit some proper trophies of his finest moments? Good to see Mr. Garadev's Medal of Honor still proudly displayed on the wall. The inscription reads for distinguished participation, if you remember. Yes, I remember, because I remember thinking even I might stand a chance in picking up honor like that. Wouldn't know it to look at me now, perhaps, but I had my devil may care days, you know. Devil may care? What did you get up to? Well, all in the past now, of course. The best left there. Best not. I want to know now! You nosy little shit! You look very dashing in your uniform here, Mr. Garda. Ah, the old portrait, eh? Drawn by an art student who used to rent the room downstairs. Oh, that's gonna be significant. Oh, you look so wonderfully young and courageous and strong. Yes, well, the chap presented it to me one day and asked if I'd let him off the month's rent in return. Oh, I see. So, you did, presumably? I Bollywell did not. Oh. A portrait is a portrait, but rent is rent, eh? And yet it's still there proudly on the wall. We know what that street is hiding now. The aftermath of the fiery altercation the other day. Don't suppose I'll be able to clear that mess up for some time now. Oh dear, this must be a very difficult situation for you. I'll say, people talk about the twist of fate and whatnot. But this is a twist and a half, a rotten show all around. He's clearly struggling with everything that's happened. Aw, poor guy.
He misses his wife.
There's a good view over the wintry east end from up here. It's an impressively grey sea. It's really nothing comparable to Japan. And down below, Briar Road, partly blanketed in snow. And pavement where poor Miss Green was struck in the back by that knife. Thinking about it, this is the only room in this building that actually has a window from the outside world. Sometimes, great... right? Great Britain really does seem like a strange land, doesn't it? I suppose all foreign cultures seem strange at first. Imagine how an Englishman would feel on arriving in Japan and seeing people with chunmage top knots. Well, that's a good point. That's an impressive collection of cakes on that fancy silver cake stand there. I feel sure that it was full of cakes when we first investigated here as well. Yes, quite right. Haven't touched it since. Haven't done much at all, really, since it all happened. Time's rather stood still for me, you know? Aww. Oh. Time has stood still. Now that's an interesting phrase. I might add... I might be able to use that excuse when I'm next supposed to be tidying the office. You could just tidy up, Mr. Naruhodo.
I don't know if she can just read him very well or if he's saying it out loud at this point.
I feel like it's him saying it out loud. Because you remember the extra case with Kazuha?
Yeah, but it's always, it's either... No, never mind.
Okay. These shelves look like they've been completely torn apart by a wild beast. Oh. Reminds me of the battle with my wand, don't you know? Ah, the experiences of a seasoned veteran. Anime had us surrounded on all sides. We really thought we were done for. The whole Bali company. Aww. We were taking a real pounding from their cannons, so all we could do is run for our lives. Oh, I thought that this story was going in a different direction, actually. Well, the whole experience taught me one thing, I can tell you. When you're down for, you're really done for. That's not what a lawyer who often finds himself under fire wants to hear. Okay, I think that's all. Okay, thanks to my little game regarding Sherlock, I really have to pee right now, so BRB. Mute. I have returned! It's kind of awkward getting into my seat here. Okay, back with the game. Okay, let's talk to him. Welcome. I am back. Now I'm hungry, to be honest. It must have been a real shock for you this morning. I hear that you discovered what had happened. Ah, well, that hopeless actor chap raises at 5 o'clock sharp every morning without fail. But at 5:30 this morning, he still hasn't lit the gas. So I went down to knock on his door, but no bally answer. And that's when you broke into his room by kicking down the door? Well, I called that rough-looking Japanese chap to do the grunt work, of course. Wasn't it a little premature to kick the door down? The man could have just overslept by half an hour. That's very true, Mr. Narado. If 30 minutes oversleeping warranted such behavior, I'd have to kick your door down every morning. Well, you know, better safe than sorry and all that. Aww, he's really traumatized with the old thing. I'm so sad for him. Is it just me, or is he avoiding our gaze now all of a sudden? Except that it's a sore situation indeed that you found on the way, on the far side of the door. Mr. Shamspear. The victim's name is Mr. Shamspear, I believe. Is that right? Yes, William Shamspear. Took the ground floor room 3 months ago now. Is that even a real name? Wait, is he in the court records?
It's an ace attorney game.
Look at him! The victim of the current case failed actor renting a room in the same building as Mr. Natsume. It looks like he was just living his best life. Yes, took the ground 3 months ago. And how would you describe him? In a word, destitute. Destitute? Well, let's face it, the only redeeming feature of that room is the cheap rent. Anyone wanting to live in a place like that is either broke or has a bally screw loose. So hard to choose which category Soseki-san would fall into. Mr. Naruhodo, that's a little rude. He was doing research as well. Research? Into what? Shakespeare, of course! Shakespeare! Read a few plays of the old bard myself, you know. Romeo and... and Hamlet, all that. Isn't Hamlet also a guy?
Yep.
Oh my god, they have gay plays!
It's ace attorney.
Oh my god! Yeah, this is the world where heterosexuality is a rarity.
Of course.
Yes, William Shakespeare is England's most highly regarded classical playwright and author. Man, it's really amazing that they made this fictional character with all this background and history just for this game. He's known as Sword Art Online in Japanese, as you know, and many of his works have already been translated. Also, since he's an English major, doesn't he also eventually have to study Shakespeare?
Pretty sure he already has, right?
I mean...
Has he not?
It seems incredible that Shakespeare was shortened to Sword Art Online, though. Someone was too heavy-handed there. There are a lot of costumes in the victim's room already, weren't there? Of course, Mr. Natsume is a scholar of English literature as well. I imagine he and Mr. Shamspear would have had much in common. Shakespeare interpretation disagreement leads to shocking murder. Let's not hope. Let's hope it's not that. Mr. Naruhodo! Really? How rude! I'm still not over Romeo and Hamlet. I can't believe they have a canonically gay play.
Happy Pride Month.
After Mr. Natsume's trial yesterday, you came straight back here, I believe, didn't you? Did you notice anything strange between then and this morning? Well now, must have been about 6 in the evening by the time I got home. Snow was coming down rather heavy as I remember, and it was completely dark already. That failed actor checked us out at the time. Mr. Garadeb noticed there was no light from his room or something, I suppose. Can I summon the energy for anything much, so I just sat in front of the fire up here. It was after 8 before Shabsphere got back, and the chap was up until past 1 in the morning, I'll have you know. I suppose he met his end sometime after that. I was asleep by then, so I'm rather in the dark there. Well, thank you. That was very illuminating. I'm gonna shake Ryunosuke by the shoulders one day. Jesus. Is everything alright, Mrs. Sato? Well, I was just thinking, it's a little strange, that's all. Mr. Garadeb, you were up in your room all evening, if I've understood correctly. Not a big fan of stairs, not for this blasted leg. Then, how is it that you seem to know the precise moment of your tenant on the ground floor, I mean? Ah! That's a very good point. I can imagine you could hear noises from the ground floor all the way up here. Does this old man like to spy on his tenants, is that it? I say, I know what you're thinking, and it's a bally outrage. I'm an ex-military, don't you know? I don't go around spying on my tenants, why would I? Then, how do you know, Mr. Garadeb? It's the gas, woman! The gas tells me everything. The gas? The gas?
The gas.
The gas? What on earth do you mean, sir? How could the gas tell you something, let alone everything? Well, as you're probably aware, the gas is supplied to the building by pipes. Yes, I'd more or less worked that out. Every room in the building is connected by a single pipe to the gas main outside. And the gas company supplies gas to properties via the main. Yes, I understand that too. Let me see if I can explain. Let's say I was to light the gas lamps up here. What do you suppose would happen? Well, obviously, the room would get brighter. Exactly. But at the same time, the light and all the other rooms in the house would dim for a moment. Ah. What? They dim? Why? Perhaps it's because when you light a gas lamp, it briefly uses more gas than usual. And that reduces the amount of gas in the pipes for the other lamps that are connected to it? That might explain why the other lamps dim momentarily. Mightn't it? Yes, of course, because everything's connected to a single supply pipe. Man, Ryunosuke sure got lucky that he could live with like Sherlock almost immediately.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to deal with this. Is that supposed to happen though? It sounds rather undesirable. Jolly good point. Fact is, the gas company's pipes in these parts are pretty hopeless, long worn out, and barely got any gas in them to start with. Opposite's almost true, of course. Extinguish the lamps up here and they glow brighter in the rest of the house. Ah, right, I see. So by watching the flickering of the lamps in one room, you can determine what's happening elsewhere. You've got it. Oh, of course, because when people come back home in the evening and before they go to sleep at night, what you're guaranteed to do is either light or put out the lamps and fires. But how would he know when he turned off the light? Did he say he was asleep? Clever. In point in fact, the room on the ground floor and the one above it is use slightly different amounts of gas. By watching the lights here closely, I could work out almost exactly what's going on in the whole house. Gosh! That's fascinating, Mr. Garadeb. Absolutely fascinating. Oh well, nothing to it really. And I can't really see that's going to help us in the case though. What I'd like to know is why Mr. Garrideb is so interested in what his tenants are up to in the first place. I feel like there's more to it than idle curiosity. I mean, if you're gonna notice it, you're gonna notice it, right?
Hmm.
Let me guess. Ah, he isn't here. Wait, no, fuck. Okay, he isn't here for some reason. I think that's it. Can't find anything else. Can I present him with something? Soap? Soap? Aww, poor guy. I actually really feel bad for him. Soap? That's her. No. That's her? No. Okay. I think that's all. Should I go speak to him then? Oh, he's not here yet. Okay, so I still need to do something, apparently. Soap! Soap! Okay. I don't think there's anything in Briar Road anymore.
Wait, what are your options?
Shamspear's room, Briar Road, Garrideb's room, and prison.
Go to the hospital.
Wait, there's a hospital?
Oh, you can't go there? Yeah.
Oh, what?
It's just that it tells you some hints. Like sometimes it's like, oh, you know, you haven't visited this place in a while. See?
I think perhaps we should. Ah. No, you said we should leave her
We
be
should
for
leave
a
her.
while.
Yeah. Okay.
We just okay. A little more time investigating here. Ah. Okay. What else haven't I investigated? Yeah, I'm gonna scrub the thing for the whole room. Ah, are you fucking kidding me? I thought it was the whole set. Ah, one of the teacups that Mr. Shamspeare and his guests drank from last night. But don't go drinking from them, Mr. Narada. There's bitter poison inside. You know, I would make fun that Susato would even suggest this, but the fact that Ryunosuke very much almost drank from the poison bottle in case 1.
Yeah.
Their warnings are founded. I'm not planning on drinking any, don't worry. Anyway, the cups are both empty. I feel like Ryunosuke acts all exasperated about it, but he has proven multiple times that he will actually do something that stupid.
And it seems like he's considered it.
Yeah, that's true. So, one was Mr. Shamspeare, and the other must be the cup that Mr. Natsume was drinking from. But Soseki-san wasn't poisoned, of course. Perhaps we should take them. No, I want to examine it. Probably no. Later. Are they the same? What are these teacups? Okay. This teacup is from Mr. Natsume, from which Natsume was drinking. Yes, unlike the other one, the inside of the cup is completely clean. Oh, right, I didn't even see the, tea stain on it. I suppose he must have drank the contents before the tea had a chance to leave the work. I always gulp it down, too. Sorry, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, if you just sip it little by little, it goes cold. Clearly, I shall have to instruct you in the proper ways to take tea. What? Oh, okay. Also, that's a fucking lie. He said he chugs it down. But wasn't the reason he was left behind in the restaurant in the first case was because he was still drinking his coffee? So, what is it, Liu?
What's the truth? Maybe he just wanted to spend more time with his
Yeah. I mean, that is what is it called? Kazuma said that he should take some time, way to the English country, and now he's in English.
and now he's being terrorized by English people
And now he has to live with an English man.
and speak English.
Well, he looks like he's having fun with that at least.
Yeah, I mean, he was studying English. I think that's where he went wrong.
Yeah. He shouldn't have studied English. He should have
Yeah.
studied like other shit. Like, what else could he possibly have studied?
Yeah, I don't know what else he could have studied. Like, he really
Yeah,
seems
because
like
I
a
mean, he
lit
could,
kind of guy.
maybe he should have like studied arts or something.
You
I
think he's
don't-
an artist?
I don't know. But I guess if he studied art, he'd be too similar to Phoenix.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. Oh my God. Were the writers like, okay, what's the opposite of art? And
Right? English.
writing literature, and they're like,
Oh
okay,
my
that's
I
his
mean,
grandpa.
yeah, that makes sense. That's his great grandpa now. This must be the cup that Mr. Shamspeare was drinking from then. It's stained on the inside. Tea does that, I'm afraid. Even green tea. Oh, really? I've never noticed before. You've never noticed? Well, I never leave it in the cup long enough to leave a mark. I like to gulp it down. Drink tea while it's hot. That's the Japanese way, isn't it? Oh dear. So many people seem to have the wrong idea about our culture. And most of them are Japanese! Okay, what else? Anything in the bottom? So I guess that was it. It's just in the inside. Oh, you know, I did you see like the art I was sharing early, some days ago?
Which one?
It was like from that one really good Phoenix Edgeart artist, and there was an art where like, and there was like an art where are these like tea lip stains? Yeah, and there was like an art where the Phoenix drank from a coffee cup or a teacup, and then he left it there in Edgeworth's office, and Edgeworth like did an indirect kiss with it. It's very cute.
Oh my God. Edgeworth, you freaking nerd. Just go kiss him.
No, he's a shy little boy.
That's his fault for being British.
Can't blame him for that. Probably no, not Garrett. Gregson. Looks like you're having a good snip around, eh? Oh no, Inspector Gregson, back so soon? After I threw that little Japanese fella in the clink, I went and reported this to the investigations division. In 5 minutes' time, this place will be cordoned off by the yard. Oh, I see. Well, we'd better be leaving then. Poor Mr. Nesame must be feeling really very low. Back in the cell once again. Whoa! Whoa! What the fuck? What the fuck? That was so scary! That was so scary! What the fuck? That actually scared me!
It's unnerving.
I'm sure we should probably go and... What's wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Ah! Oh my god!
Are you okay, Link?
No, I'm scared! Oh, brief counsel. Life's but a wicked shadow. A poor player. That threat that frets this hour upon the sage, and then is heard no more. Now, how sutteth the next pot? Wait. Wait, why do you know? Gregson?
Why is he playing along?
It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Indeed! Oh, happy day!
Bro.
Walking Dead! What the fuck? Paramedics, please? He's still alive, apparently. The fella isn't dead at all? What was the nonsense he was saying, though? I think, yes, it was from William Shakespeare's Macbeth. See, so he didn't study William Shakespeare. Rio! I thought you were an English major.
Maybe they haven't gotten there yet. They're still looking through, like, I don't know, other stuff.
What's there to study aside from William Shakespeare? Isn't he like said to be the greatest Englishman? I thought being the best Englishman is where you start. A soliloquy
Yeah.
soliloquy from Act 5, Scene 5. Shakespeare. That's all you have to say to that? Okay. So it was that the victim, Mr. William Shakespeare, came back to life. If the man had indeed been poisoned, it transpired that it hadn't killed him. He was taken by emergency carriage to the nearby hospital for treatment, and Inspector Gregson evicted us from the scene of the crime, whatever that now was. To be continued? Oh, okay. What the fuck? Oh, it's this potato man. Whatever do you think will happen now? Good question. What a strange situation for Mr. Natsume. Arrested for murder, but the victim comes back to life. I think perhaps the victim was never dead in the first place. It seems very likely that Mr. Shakespeare did consume poison, as we deduced, but was it an accident, attempted suicide, or attempted murder? Until the truth can be established, I imagine the police will keep Mr. Natsume in custody. I suppose so. Let's hope it doesn't come to anything more than a night in the cell. Oh, what's this? What's this? What's that man doing over there? It looks like he's trying to see into Soseki-san's lodgings. Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Excuse me! Can we have a word? What the fuck? Ah! What the fuck? Why are people in Ace Attorney like this? He just ran off.
Why?
I feel sure that I've seen that man somewhere before. Where was it? I do too, but I don't remember. Well, we've done as much investigating here as we can, I think. Perhaps we ought to go to the prison and speak with Mr. Natsume again. Good idea. Soap? Can you investigate the soap? No. Wait, what's that? Oh, Natsume. Why are you like this? You couldn't even go back to Japan without being accused of another murder. Look, Mr. Naruto. Mr. Natsume, have the police finished questioning you now? Welcome to Mr. Naruto Esquire. Oh, yes. What is he? Tell me, is he a ghost? Is he here to haunt me? Let me guess. You're talking about Mr. Shoves. He actually calls himself a great detective. Mr. Natsume, not a ghost. But his diabolic deductions, they're not of this world. They've left me. Ah, curse! I'm cursed, I tell you! Well, that sort of hurts. Credit where credit is due, Mr. Naruto. You were heavily involved in the election too. Yes, moving on. We have some wonderful news. Oh! The victim that we all thought was dead had come back to life again. Well, you don't seem too happy about that. Now, in the absolutely worst case scenario, you could only be tried for attempted murder. That's great, isn't it, Mr. Natsume? It's terrible! Oh! I'm stuck in a cell, suffering from the silly wrong end of the stick. You did it, didn't you? Confess! You're a killer! Why the mustache? Cut that questions! I'm sorry to hear that. That selfish shyster! I hope that was not a slur. Make up your mind. Are you dead or alive? If you were going to come back to life, why bother dying? Very good question. Wickedly wishy William! Well, it seems likely that Mr. Shakespeare was never actually dead in the first place. Ah, yes, that might make sense, and I'm pleased that he's alive, of course. Our lively debate last night was much fun. I'd be sad to think that was our last. Oh! Oops! Mr. Natsume, does this mean that you did see the victim last night? You met with Mr. Shakespeare, didn't you? I'm not saying another word. I demand to have a lawyer present. Okay. Good luck for trying to find someone else to defend you, my dude. But who do you think I am? Please, Mr. Natsume, we need to hear your side of the story. Why am I cursed like this? Present soap. I'm kidding. Can you tell us exactly what happened last night then, Mr. Natsume? There's nothing to tell. But, Mr. Naruto Esquire, I'm eternally grateful to you for helping me with that accursed case yesterday. The case that some poor Miss Green hospitalized after she ended up with a knife in her back. It's hard to believe that it was only yesterday. It really is. After the trial was over, I trudged my weary back to my lowly lodgings. And that evening, at past 9, it must have been, I visited Mr. Shakespeare. So, you did go to the victim's room then? As we feared, I didn't do anything wrong! I never did his room. I'd never been to his room before. It was the first time! Oh dear. Then, what made you decide to go? I bumped into him when I walked back to back at the house. We got chatting, and it developed into a discussion. But we had to go out, so I bade him farewell. That ties in with what Mr. Garrett said, that the victim went out and came back after 8. We met again later that evening, at around 9 or just after, when I took him some nice tea. I brewed as a gift. So it was you who bought the tea that had clearly been drank at the scene then. And I suppose you were discussing the works of Shakespeare, were you? Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. Romeo and Juliet! Who was the stronger? It was a delightful debate. I'm sure. Such a stimulating subject, Shakespeare! And the debate became very heated, so you slipped poison into Mr. Shakespeare's tea? No! Never! Not at all! Team Juliet won! That was me! And then I left his room. The flamboyant fellow was fighting fit! I swear it! Categorically! Okay. Mr. Natsume, you often say the same thing about yourself, I've noticed. I don't know, Darth. I honestly don't know. That you have a cursed existence. I'm sure I've mentioned this to you before, but I've been here in Great Britain for a year now. And in that time, I've learned that... Oh, they didn't even warn me that I disconnected again. Damn. It can be very trying to live in a foreign land and adapt to the ways of other culture. There are foreigners everywhere I look, and they all stare at me. They all laugh. That's the impression I get whenever I go out. It makes me scared to leave my room. Which is why I've become a recluse. Man, even in my room, I find no respite from my fears. I've moved more times than I can remember, and then, 1 week ago, I'm moving to Briar Road. But why? I mean, why did you choose that place? It doesn't seem very comfortable. Because the rent is cheap. I have so little money, it spoke to me. The rent? Obviously, there's a reason why it's cheap. Because the room is cursed. Cursed? Cursed how? The previous occupant, the man who lived there before I took the room, died there. Oh no! And they said it was an artist. Is it the guy in the picture Miss Green had? Oh no! He was only a young man, but one morning he was found dead, and no one could explain. So there's been 3 deaths in this place. Jesus Christ! Surely no one would want to live in a room with a history like that. I didn't. When the letting agent recommended a place, I wavered. But I want books! Then books cost money! A horrible history is a small price to pay! When I realized it would mean I could buy more books, I sighed the least like lightning. Brave or blinkered? And after I moved in, I soon came to realize what I'd done. I realized how horrible that room's history really was. Gosh, was it really so awful? Have you fed his kitty yet? I feel badly for making the kitty wait for food. How did the room's horrible history affect you, Mr. Natsume? What happened? At first, it was just a feeling. The feelings of beady eyes boring into my back, watching me. Do you think that might just have been your mind playing tricks on you? No. The mind doesn't know any tricks. It was someone else. Well, I'd like you to tell that to the Yonosuke. It's been one long nightmare ever since I was given keys to the house. A nightmare? You've been having bad dreams, you mean? All the souls who've died in that room lean over in my sleep and try to strangle me. That really is horrible. And now I've come to think of it, it happened again last night too. The very same night that Mr. Shakespeare was writhing in agony from the poison in his body, I was on the verge of being suffocated silently by those miserable spirits in my room. You simply must move out of that room as soon as possible. Yes, you're right, I know it. That's why I'm already searching for the next room without a history to call home. I think perhaps you should try to avoid accommodations with any kind of history at all. Otherwise, I'm scared that you yourself may become history. Oh my god. Phew, Sasaki-san knows how to make a man listen. Of course, Mr. Lord of the Manor is worried about the curse on my room as well. You mean Mr. Garada? Yes, I know that if people keep dying there, he'll never be able to rent it out again. Well, that's true. I, for one, wouldn't go near the place. Perhaps that may explain why the landlord pays so much attention to the gas lamps in his tenants' movements. You mean because he's worried about their well-being? He does seem to have an unusually keen interest in the amount of gas in the pipes. I know, right? And he was making fun of Ryunosuke last case because apparently Ryunosuke had the bad luck. Who's laughing now, bitch? And there must be a reason why he keeps such close tabs on the occupants of his let rooms. What do you mean? He pays so much attention to the gas lamps. Oh dear, no, it's nothing to do with you, Mr. Natsume. Please, forget I said anything. Oh, now you're talking about me behind my back as well. Aww. What's important is that Mr. Shakespeare isn't in fact dead at all. Once he's come around and is able to tell us what happened, we'll be able to get you released. Yes, please. Oh, I do hope you're right. Ahem, excuse me. Ah. Inspector Gregson! I couldn't help overhearing what you just said. And on that note, I have some good news and some bad news. Oh no. Did he fall into a coma as well? Jesus Christ. Oh. Which do you want to hear first? Always, every time, the bad news comes first. When hope is all you have, hold on to it. That's my guiding principle. Right, well, in that case, the good news it is. Ah, you bastard. Ah, sorry, but it's just a lot easier to explain everything that way. And why did you ask me for my preference? As you might have heard, the victim, Mr. Shamspear, was just unconscious. He's come around now. Yes, we saw it happen in all its terrifying glory. I know, right? He's still being treated by the doctors, but we managed to get a written statement from him already. Oh, isn't that wonderful, Mr. Natsume? Oh, thank goodness. It's all over then. I can leave this somber cell. Sorry, no. That's not on the cards. What? Why ever not, Inspector? Mr. Shamspear has implicated someone as being responsible for what happened last night. Implicated someone? Oh dear! You don't mean... I'm sorry to say I do, yes. He's pointed the finger at you, Mr. Natsume. Ah! By sweet poison did he seek it to end my life. That wicked skatelif, Soseki Natsume. No! I'm afraid you'll be appearing in court as planned. You'll be wanting to make the necessary preparations. Ah, poor guy. And so, once again, Sasaki-san found himself having to take the dog at the Old Bailey. Whether his room was haunted or whether he was just terribly unlucky, I had no choice. The following day, I would represent him in court and do my utmost to break the curse that blighted him. What are you, a priest now? Amigo niño! Amigo niño! Okay, I have been streaming for about 3 hours and 30 minutes. That really froze me up considering all of the times I've heard that in the first game, and now it's just slightly different and it's messing with me.
What is it?
The tune when you finish something.
Oh. Never knew.
Like, dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
I think, man, it's only been 3 hours. The thing is, I want to play more, but I'm scared that if I do, it might end up to like another 9-hour stream.
The good news is the case is shorter than a lot of others.
This one? Are you
I think
sure?
it's a good stopping point. No, this is a good stopping point because the trial does go on.
It takes, oh my god. Oh no, I mean, yeah, it's gonna be another
the
uphill
trial
battle.
takes up a huge chunk of this case. So
Oh, man, so I guess I won't be able to do this like in 2 streams, huh?
what was that?
I won't be able to do it in 2 streams.
Maybe you can, to be honest.
I mean, you said it takes a lot. Like,
It takes a lot, but you can do it next time. I mean, you don't want to do it in 9 hours, do you? I'm like,
so, wait, so you're saying me it's been like 3 hours, so are you telling me my next
Yeah.
stream is gonna be 6 hours?
no. I doubt it. I mean, I don't know myself. Like, it shouldn't be that long.
You played this game, that's why I'm asking for your opinion.
I don't remember. It's been like 7-8 months.
When?
But yes, thank you so much for streaming, Linky, and thank you for having
Yeah,
me.
because the thing is, the reason why I wanted to ask is kind of I wanted to pace it okay-ish, because a lot of people are like telling me about case 3 that it's really huge.
It's good.
Like people are telling me, you're going to
So
cry, you're
good.
going to shit yourself, you
Yeah.
are going to have a fit. So I was wondering, should I dedicate a whole week to that or something?
Yeah, because like, dude, the case 3 completely overshadows this case to the point where I even forgot that this case existed. So just think about
Yeah, okay. So so yeah, that was what I was saying because I only stream on weekends and it's like Thursday now.
Hmm.
So tomorrow is gonna be my last stream for this week. So I was
Oh, I definitely look forward to next week.
yeah. If I can finish this case tomorrow, I'm kind of
You
scared.
can. Don't worry, you can.
Okay, okay, okay. If you say so, I'm gonna trust you and your faulty memory. I'm kidding.
God. Well, I hope it works out,
Yep.
regardless.
I'm just gonna say goodbye to chat now. Thank you for hanging with me, Mari.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Talk to you later.
Bye bye.
And yeah, I'm dedicating a week to case 3. And I think you thought, even though, God, the disconnections this stream are intense, I'm gonna download so many. And man, I really don't know what's causing those disconnections. Because I already edited my streaming kilobytes to like just 2,000 now. It used to be 2,500 and now it's 2,000, and I know that's way below the recommended kilobytes, but I was hoping that would make it better, but I feel like it almost made it worse. I disconnected way more. Yeah, thank you. So let's hear hope and I can finish the case tomorrow so that I can dedicate a whole entire week to case 3 because I am so excited, also scared. And I want to like go into it like fresh and rested from my 2-day break from streaming. So once again, I will stream, I will attempt to finish it tomorrow at the same time, same place. Thank you everyone who dropped by, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye bye. Thank you everyone. Bye.